Are we live? Oh, thank you, Kitty. That's what we need. Okay. Sorry about the last 51 seconds there, friendlies, but hey, how's up? Welcome to the inaugural panel discussion for my live streams. It won't be every week. I'm hoping to do a panel discussion every 3 weeks to a month. I have the next two also planned. We're going to see how this one goes. And then those of you who I've spoken to about doing one, you'll be getting an email quickie first go. So my guests tonight are both knowledgeable about axes, because axes is what we're talking about. We're going to talk about patterns, history, use, care. Who we've got with us, just let me make sure that I don't forget anything. We got Paul, otherwise known as Outdoor Dauber. He's been into the outdoors and in the outdoors for, 4 decades, give or take? Yep. Been doing, let me just take a look. Boy Scout, certified to teach. What are the adult scouts called? The people who train?
Well, it's the Boy Scout leaders.
Okay. Certified to train leaders in various outdoor things like woodland tools, maintenance, use, and safety. And of course, down below him on the screen, we have Craig Roost, who is known as Rooster at the Axe Junkies Facebook group. He's also involved, as in employed at Council Tool in a couple of different capacities. You do product rep at trade shows and supply management in terms of dealing with distributors, if I'm correct, and yep. Product design and research and design.
Yes, sir.
One thing I do want to mention, I'll just start with you, Craig, is that I had been under the impression that you had started the Facebook group, the Axe Junkies Facebook group, and last week you told me that's not the case. So do you want to clarify that for me and anyone who
sure.
might have some idea?
Sure. Well, first off, I want to thank you for inviting me on for tonight.
I'm excited.
The inaugural panel discussion. So, and I like it. Working with Paul on your live streams. It's fun to, engage with him as well. So, yeah, I'm glad Paul's with us as well. So, the idea behind Axe Junkies that started. They started the group back in September 11th, 2012, by Robin Fawcett, and he is from the UK. There's another gentleman here in the States that kind of helped him with that, and I didn't become a member of that group until about 4 or 5 months in, and then soon after I joined, the group was growing, quite large for a new group. I mean, it exploded, and once we ran about 1,200 members. The content and the volume and the interactions got to the point where Robin wasn't really interested in trying to manage it. From a people's perspective, he was more interested as an axe group. And he asked me and Ira Schramm to take over the moderation and admin duties for the group.
And Ira is still there, eh? Because I see.
Yeah, Ira's a member. He's a participating member. He doesn't admin anymore. He's a busy guy. And, the admins kind of come and go as they can. We've got 8 of them right now that cover about 15 different time zones across the world. Most of them are here in the United States. But we've got Tom Board in the UK. We've got Will Taylor, who's in France. We've got Declan Darcy, who's in
He's Irish,
Ireland.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we got Pierre Velasquez, who's in Sweden. Daryl Groot, who's in North Carolina, myself in Wisconsin. We've got Benton Freeze, who's in, I believe, Southern Indiana. And then Eric. Eric is out in Oregon. And they got Darren, who's in Australia. So we have a lot of guys that are helping to, keep the group focused on axes, keep it family friendly, and just helping encourage people to share what they have and enable each other in axe addiction.
Now, Craig,
we're the largest axe community on or offline at this point.
Yeah,
about 35,000 members.
Yeah, there's a huge membership, but not everyone in that membership posts, which is probably a good thing, because as it is, I'll see something like at 9 in the morning. I'll think, I want to comment on that at 10 in the morning and gone, so
Right. It's farther down. Right. The
yeah.
idea too is that I get to see some of the analytics from the group, and we have I would say about 75% of our memberships are active, and that definition is that they either like, comment, share, or post at least once per month.
Okay.
Now, and there's groups that I'm a member of that I haven't posted in 5 months.
Yeah,
or more.
same here. Yeah.
And but I still kind of track what's going on other groups.
Yeah.
That I'm interested in. So I would say I consider us to be more of a civic group than a Facebook group. So we're a civic group that basically has our weekly meetings on a social media platform called Facebook.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, especially because a lot of members do actually contact each other outside of Facebook at this point.
Oh, definitely. We have a lot of guys that are new friends who've never met each other, only know each other online, and then every once in a while we'll get together at some of the axe meets and get to shake hands and look at what everyone's brought to the event. So it's one of the ways that we can get away from being behind a computer or our phones and be social.
I do love the concept of being out from behind my computer. That's for sure. I just want to take a moment to welcome everyone who's joined. I'm just scrolling through some names. Mike Morton, hey man, I'll be speaking to you fairly soon about one of these panel discussions. Joe's Neon. Joe, what do you mean you know nothing? You got a million.
Joe knows nothing.
Joe Neon knows nothing. That's BS. Ron Schubert, hey, I've actually got both beer and whiskey here tonight. Simon's here, so within about 30 seconds, everything's going to be derailed. Serge, how's it going? Just taking a quick look. Am I missing anyone? Zach Fudge, hey. He already mentioned who else has a timer to see how long it takes to derail the discussion. Thanks. Yeah, no, we're gonna try to stick to the. Hey, Damage is here. How's it going? Damage is a new friend who discovered me through Tyler, if I remember correctly. Hey, Martin's here as well. Good.
Rooster, I'll just mention that in the introduction, Jeff said, depending on how this goes, I may do some more of these. So we have the chance to totally derail the whole thing.
Yeah, you guys may just wreck my So, I mean, aside from that, I'm glad that you you clarified the Facebook thing for me, because I had just been I don't know how long I've been on that group, but a few years, and I just thought that you were the guy that started it.
Right. The thing is that we have a pin post at the top with our rules and policies and stuff with the group.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that manages that post as we change things. So it has my name on it. So my name is basically at the top, but I'm just one of 8 admins for that group.
And by the way, you need some Canada in that admin group, by the way.
Possibly, yeah.
The world needs more Canada.
Right.
But yeah, so I've got a few things I want to talk about. One thing I did want to ask was that's what we should do next. He's got a vanilla porter. He's drinking a vanilla porter.
This beer is a porter roasted malts with notes of vanilla. So there you go.
Sounds good to me. Where's that based? Where are they?
Colorado.
Okay. I have
Colorado.
I have an Ausschlag Chêne Rouge, which is a red ale, 478 ml, and it's a 5% alcohol. So as you guys have heard me say, straight up standard Canadian beer. So let's just pour our drinks, because it is, after all, the Beer, Blades, and Bushcraft live stream. Serge, watch this pour. Now, while I'm doing this and not destroying the pour.
Down the side of the glass.
Yep. That's what I'm doing. Every time I pour a beer now, I have Serge's this laughing face in my head. There we go. It's good. It's got a little bit of poppies into it.
I'm gonna pull pull at the back end of the caboose here. I'm the designated driver for tonight. So
It's a soft drink.
yes.
Got it. Okay. So, Paul, why don't you tell us a bit more about you? Because, I mean, you were hooked into the Boy Scouts. I was never a scout. I was a beaver back in the day. Do they have beavers in the States? Beavers
Not
like
my-
ones
No,
like beavers.
only ones we trap, really.
Yeah.
So what is the first level then? Because like you started beavers at whatever is that really young age, and then you've got Cubs, and then Boy Scouts, and I don't know where it goes after that.
So there's multiple levels in the Cub Scouts.
Yeah.
It starts. They've now introduced the Lion group into the Cub Scouts,
Okay.
which is basically kindergarten. Tiger's first grade, Wolf is second grade, Bear is third grade, Weeblo's fourth grade, Arrow Light fifth grade, and then in sixth grade they graduate into the Boy Scouts.
Okay.
So just real quick, in the Cub Scouts, they can earn their whittling chip, which allows them to carry a pocket knife.
Okay.
And then in Boy Scouts, they earn their totem chip, which allows them to use saws and axes.
Okay. Okay. So it's slightly different, but not that different.
From the beavers?
Beavers are sort of the really young one. You know?
Okay.
Back in the day, it was like one of those little sort of, those hats like, like the U.S. sailor hat, but when you flip it down, it looks like a bit of a sun hat with a little colored tail that you stuck on the back, depending on what level you were at, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's as far as I went with Scouts, because after that, I funneled into the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, because the Canadian Forces, each branch has like a kind of a youth wing, right? And so there's the Sea Cadets for the Navy, Army Cadets for the Canadian Army, and then the RCAF has the Air Cadets. And so that's what I did. It's very much not a scout organization. There are some parallels. There's always parallels, eh? All these scouting organizations and like cadets and stuff, there's always parallels, but they're not exactly the same. Like we had the whole sort of history of the Air Force, history of the Canadian Forces, drill, and all this stuff sort of that we had to deal with. Oh, and like piloting stuff, it's known as a Jones hat in Canada, Simo. Good to know. Good to know. So I was just interested, like, in knowing how that maybe dovetailed with your outdoor skills.
So yeah, I learned a lot of outdoor skills in Scouts. Thinking back, a lot of what we did in Scouts would be considered bushcrafting today.
Yeah.
Campfire cooking, making implements using, saplings, poles, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But we used some axe, did some axe work in Scouts. Probably my earliest use of an axe was when I was a kid. We had a wood burner that we heated our house with.
Okay.
And one of my chores was to make sure that we had firewood stacked inside the house, kindling split. In the summertime, my dad would cut the wood, bring it home. He and I would split it together. It actually started with splitting wedges in a maul, the first thing I used. And then as I got a little older, learned how to swing an axe without overstriking constantly and tearing the haft up, began to use that and splitting mauls. So that's been, 35 years that I've been doing that.
I remember one of the very first, do either of you guys watch the Sergeant Fruitcake?
I do not.
Okay. He's in he's a former British Army soldier. I think he's living in Northern Ireland right now. And he's married and he's got a family there and stuff. But one of the first episodes of his that I saw was him like just whapping some kindling because winter was coming on and his place is heated by wood. And he was discussing some of his favorite axes or some of his axes and what he liked and what he didn't. And during the whole time, he's just like whapping, boom, 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 boom. And he sort of addressed that at one point and said, by the way, I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. That's why there's no protection. You know, there's no like ear, you know, just like, yeah, no ear protection. There's no like safety glass or anything. It's just, and I two things. That video, I started watching him like religiously for a long time because he was really good in front of the camera and he had a real nice energy around him. But I had this massive envy because I didn't grow up with any of this stuff. I grew up car camping, you know, and Axe was something about a Canadian Tire, or I guess down in the States you have Target or something. You know, it was usually something crappy like a Collins or something, or Coglins. I don't know how you pronounce that. You know, I remember
Coglins, I think.
Coglins. Okay.
I think, yeah.
One trip, our bush knife was actually like a carpenter's utility knife. You know, the gray metal ones. You go click and that little blade comes out. Because my dad was a carpenter for decades and decades. And my first summer job was in carpentry. I did it for 5 summers in a row, building houses for the very rich in Vancouver, or doing small jobs on them, or building parts, you know. So like sometimes the tools we had, like say a saw, was just a panel saw because we didn't have a lot of money and we didn't camp all the time, you know. But I do remember even as a younger kid having, you know, those camper trailers that go, it's like it's a trailer, but when you get there, you sort of fold it up and the sort of the tent comes up.
Yeah,
they call it a pop up.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, and stuff like that. So that's what my camping experience was. We weren't rural. Well, I lived in Manitoba, so even in the middle of Winnipeg, you're a little rural. But I mean, we didn't grow up as woodsmen in my family at all. And so as I sort of came back to this as an adult, I've been developing my skills much later than guys like you did, you know, and which is why I decided to have leaving my mistakes in when I'm doing videos. I have an early video of mine where I can't get the damn ferro rod to work. Click, 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 click. Just can't do it. And I said, guys, what am I doing wrong? And doing that, the result of doing that was that I am so much better at ferro rod than I used to be. You know, just because I didn't grow up with all this stuff. And I did like a survival weekend as part of junior leadership school in the Air Cadets. You know, they dropped me on an island with like, I don't know, an orange, a toothpick and a ball of yarn or something. I don't remember. But I just fortunately walked over a sand dune and there was like blueberries. I will say though, if you ever have the opportunity to spend 2 days eating nothing but blueberries, don't bloody do it.
Yeah.
Don't.
There's repercussions.
I'm taking notes, so
yeah.
I'll write that down.
Hey, I just want to. I think we got a new viewer here tonight. Jamie Burley. Is that the Jamie Burley?
Yeah, that's him.
Like from Survival or Pathfinder. My mind just went blank.
Yeah, he was part of the Pathfinder school, and now he's part of the Outdoor Old World Alliance. Is his new project he's got going on. Yeah.
Okay. I
invited him tonight to stop in and give us a hard time. So,
actually, and Jamie asks an interesting question because as you know, one of the things I want to make sure that we don't forget is to, you know, if questions pop up, we should try to answer them. He asked,
this should be about axes too, guys. I mean, that's how we're trying to promote this project.
Yeah. What was the panel's last axe purchase? Knowing what you do now and why.
I'll let Paul go on that one because I'm kind of skewed on that topic.
Okay, so my last axe purchase was a True Temper 3-pound single bit. I think off the top of my head, I think it's a Flint Edge. And I got it for $15 at a antique shop, and I'm gonna handle it and use it as a bushcraft camp axe. I think it's right around 3-pound head, 3-pound 2 ounce. Probably put that on a 28-inch haft.
So what was my last axe purchase? It doesn't have a handle on it yet. That's this baby right here. I got it through the Axe Junkies group from a gentleman whose name escapes me right now, but he was very good to work with, and I got it for a very good price compared to what I would buy it for here in Canada. Here in Canada. Canada is actually in Ottawa. I bought it for a very specific reason. Because I would like to at one point, I have this plan to redo my garage, turn it into like a straight up workshop. And I would like to have a great big hewn beam right down the middle, the peak of the roof, because the roof has to be redone. And what I would like to do, which may just actually be an excuse for me to buy a bunch of expensive tools, is hew that beam, right? So I've got that axe, which will get a handle on it. I've got an adze in there, which also needs a handle. It also needs to be very substantially derusted. So I'm just sort of very, very slowly setting up my old school carpentry tools. I'd like to pick up a carpenter's axe for that purpose as well. What did I just knock over?
Hey, Jess.
Yeah.
While he's not on the panel, Simone says that his last axe purchase was a Walters double bit.
I'm going to kill him twice just to make sure it's done right. He bought, because for those of you who don't know, I love Walters. It's my thing. And he sent me this texto. Hey, look at this Walters double bit that just appeared on eBay. I think it was. I'm like, whoa!
No,
I said, by the way, I just bought.
I sent the text that said,
"Oh yeah, you
hey,
sent
there's a Walters double bit in Canada on eBay."
Yeah.
And you passed it up, and he bought it and unveiled it on a live stream.
Yeah. I was totally zing. The latest axe I got, Craig will recognize this. This is my latest axe. I didn't buy this though, so it doesn't really count. But I'm looking forward to this becoming my main axe for the next season, so that I can get a real good sense of it. There will be videos about it. This actually appeared in my. I just said actually twice. Sorry, guys. This appeared in my gift guide this year. I'll tell you guys something for free. I make sure there's at least one axe in every gift guide, but these gift guides are getting a lot harder to make because everything that I'm actually interested in is getting a lot more expensive. Like a lot more expensive. Next year, there's going to be a Swift canoe in it, I think. But yeah,
the last axe that I purchased,
I
actually bought a used Tuatahi racing axe.
Really?
Yep. And mainly the reason I bought it was one, as an investment, and then the two. Basically, I had seen one before. I had handled one, but I only had it for a short time. I really didn't get to study it very well. So I like looking at, I guess we'll call them either performance or production axes, for either work or obviously for sport, and just understand the geometries of them and understand why and how they're made. So
yeah, that makes sense. That sort of hits on something that I've said a lot, and that how I keep saying that I don't want 300 axes, but I want a nice example of several key patterns for kind of the same reason, so that I'll understand them a lot more. Speaking of patterns, and there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about patterns, but here's a question from Ron Schubert, who, by the way, I believe is new to the live stream. So welcome.
Yeah, he's an axe junkie.
Is he? Nice,
yep,
nice
I
to see you.
him, yep.
Okay, so
hey, Ron.
What up, fam? So is there any advantage over the Rhineland pattern versus the American felling axe on high resin wood? Okay.
Paul, you got anything on that?
Nope, I got nothing on that. That's when it comes to the patterns. That's gonna be your place.
Well, I would say that most Rhinelands that I've seen aren't very large.
No, I don't.
Probably under 3 pounds or at 3 pounds, if they are 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So to me, a Rhineland is more of we'll call it a limbing axe, or even almost the equivalent of a boy's axe. So if you take the size into consideration, the type of work you're going to do with it is obviously narrowed, we'll call it. And most felling axes are, they start at 3 pounds, average is 3.5, and go up to, 4.5, maybe 5. 5 is a very large felling axe, but it's hard to swing that sideways for any length of time without getting tired. So when it comes to the high resin wood, and I'm guessing he's talking about the spruce and the poplar, the spruce and the firs and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say that they would probably do really well as a limbing axe for those. But I don't know. I'm not sure if the geometry of those really affects the, or if the resins actually affect the geometry as much as he thinks. So.
Well, you can get into all kinds of questions about that. Well, first of all, what's the difference between a Rhineland and a Montreal? Because they are bloody similar, in my opinion. But more importantly, it seems to me that something that's easy to swing into wood will be easy to swing into wood, whether it's like a hardwood or a softwood. Maybe some things will bite better into a softwood, but I think everything will. Let me just rethink that. Can I think of anything that would... I feel that it makes more difference when you're splitting than when you're chopping.
Right.
Maybe, but I haven't I haven't chopped down 100 trees yet in my life. I've some experience chopping down trees, but not enough to say, this style is better for that, and that is, because then, okay, also, what's the difference between chopping into a live tree versus standing deadwood? Right? So would one pattern be better than that?
Right. Yeah, there's so many different variables.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from if you just take the axe itself and the variables that an axe has for patterns, geometries, head weight, handle length, maybe even the steel it's made out of, and then you get into the types of wood that you're into, and whether it's seasoned or not seasoned, dead, depending on what species it is, where you are in the country, what time of year it is. Then you add in the ability or the experience of the guy swinging that axe. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that we have such a wide variety of axe patterns throughout the world, and so many different people that are interested in axes that have all different experiences with it. So we are able to draw upon all those different people in the axe groups for exactly that purpose. So we don't have to funnel our way or pigeonhole our way back into a corner with saying that this is the only axe that you can do this job with. So I like to think of it as being more of an open discussion as opposed to having hard set lines and rules when it comes to application.
Yeah, I can buy that, especially because I've asked several people at this point, how something's a Michigan, something's a Dayton, something's a Jersey. There's one of these big hewing axes called a Canada pattern, and these names are geographic because the patterns are have origins here, there, or elsewhere. But I don't know if, aside from, is it the Puget Sound that's got those really long bits because you're digging into ginormous trees? But aside from that, I don't know if there is a forest style that in which a Michigan is better than a Dayton. I don't know if the geography, aside from something special like that Puget Sound, I don't know if the geography really makes. Oh, I don't really know how to say it, but
sure. Let me help you out. So I think one other pattern, I guess we'll call it, that is not only just geographical, but also, I guess, job specific, or two of them actually. One is the cedar axe, which was used in the Southwest in Texas.
Yeah.
And then the other one is I guess what I call it the Maine wedge pattern.
Yes.
And a lot of that is made for splitting pine and stuff like that for firewood and such.
Yeah, the splitting, everything becomes different when you're talking about a splitter, right?
Oh, right. And
Yeah.
some axes can do both, depending on what wood and the size of the blade, the geometry of the blade, head weight. And I think that that's one of the reasons that the splitting mauls have become so popular, is because it's kind of like a default tool to split with, because of the mass and the geometry on that. You don't have to really worry about trying to pick out an axe that is really going to do a good job for you, because there's so many axes out there that are not set up to split. They're actually felling axes to chop with, or bucking axes.
And that's the thing, like having for so long just used your normal chopping axe to split wood with. My first time trying out an actual splitting axe, night and day,
Right.
Because at the end of the day, a splitting axe is kind of a blunt object in certain ways. There's not much. I don't mean blunt as in no edge to it. I mean there's no real nuance to it. Boom, and so
Well, and it's to a lot of extent it is a blunt object. I mean, it's a very obtuse angle. It's designed to force the wood apart at the between the fibers, and it doesn't need to be sharp to cut across the grain.
Yes, true. And
I would say too that we're talking about patterns, we're talking about geometry. I think that in a lot of cases, Rooster, I don't know how you feel, but that geometry can become a lot more important in the function of the axe than what the pattern is. There are certainly patterns designed for certain reasons. There are some patterns that will do, that will cut softwood better than hardwood or vice versa. But when it comes down to it, you've got 40 or 50 different patterns, and you could probably put those into 4 different groups, maybe 5 different groups, as far as what their utilization is.
Sure.
Yeah. I just want to point out what Zach Fudge said. My last axe purchase was a Sager Chemical Puget Sound pattern I bought from my aunt's neighbor for $40.
And did you see Simone's response?
No.
He wants to know if we're genetically related.
Yeah, I was about to make a comment like that.
Yeah.
I was like, did Outdoor Dauber set this up for you?
Yeah, what's he? Are you genetically close to Outdoor Dauber?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's hilarious.
All right. We do have a couple more questions there. I don't know if you've seen those, Jess.
I'm looking for them. Let's see.
Yep.
What do you see?
We got a question a little while back, the difference between an axe and a hatchet.
Yeah. Yep. I saw that was damaged, right?
Yes.
Because I think he asked that because
well, then he saw what you held up, the camp carver, and said he would call that a hatchet.
And I don't think he's necessarily wrong. This is a pretty big hatchet.
18 and a half?
It's a
camp carver?
It's a 16. Yeah. 16 and a bit?
Yeah. That's a hatchet.
Yeah.
Typically, or traditionally, I guess we'll call it, all hatchets are axes, but not all axes are hatchets.
Yeah.
Yep. And
it's kind of like vehicles. Like all SUVs are cars or automobiles, but not all automobiles are SUVs.
Yeah.
Simone mentioned that.
So if you at about 1.75 pounds, that and about 18 inches, give or take for length and head weight, that is generally the gray area between an axe and a hatchet. So if it's at that point or below, most people consider it a hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
It's that point and above, or above that point, a lot of guys will call it an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
this is, by the way, the biggest hatchet I have.
That's the biggest hatchet you have.
Yeah, I have smaller ones than this, but I'm comfortable calling this a hatchet, obviously because, as Rooster said, it is one, but also because this you can totally use one-handed without even breaking a sweat.
Right. And a lot of guys will 2-pound head, one-handed on like a 19-inch handle. is doable, but oftentimes it's not comfortable for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a 2-pound smithing hammer is usable, but if you're swinging that and you're not used to it, you're going to get tired. So I think that's another reason that there's a delineation between a hatchet and an axe, is that most hatchets are used one-handed comfortably.
This, my small forest axe, this is very comfortable one-handed or two-handed. But when you got that long, like I don't use this for spoon carving, because when you're doing like delicate work, having this long a handle can really get sort of, caught up in your jacket or whatever, and gets a little dangerous, So like I wouldn't use this for some of the stuff that I would use the camp carver for, because the camp carver is just that little. I think that handle's actually like 15 3/4 once you measure it out exactly on this one. It's just a much handier size, because the small forest axe is definitely not a hatchet. There ain't no way. I can use it one-handed very easily for like limbing or doing some like making kindling or whatever, but I would not carve with this. No way.
So with the head weight of that head weight is about a pound,
yeah, it's
10 ounces.
Not a 2 pound. Yeah.
And so technically the head by itself, if it was on a shorter handle, would probably qualify as a hatchet, because it would be under that 1 3/4.
Yeah.
Threshold, we'll call it. But since it has a longer handle, that then gives it a leg up, and it can be considered an axe at that point.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of gray area between, one or the other. And honestly, there's more important things to worry about than whether or not, you're qualified as an axe or a hatchet.
Yeah.
I'd rather see, the work get done and the enjoyment in the woods, as opposed to fussing over or fretting whether or not their buddy called their axe a hatchet.
Yeah.
I am not a hatchet guy. I don't have anything against them other than I don't like the way they feel. I do have a couple half hatchets. I have a small double bit hatchet. Just sold a Plum National 16.5-inch hatchet because I hated the way it felt. Quite honestly, I had to choke 3/4 of the way up on the haft to get a comfortable grip on it. And at that point, why am I doing that? Very much a proponent of boy's axe, or like I said, a 3 3/4 pound head on a 22 to 24-inch haft. More of a full size head on a shorter haft.
Yeah. Hey, Taylor's here. I get that. It's funny because that sort of hits on something that I'm wondering about. So I think that if you look back to when woodsmen, and I want to point out that one thing I didn't say about Outdoor Dauber in my intro is that he's kind of a part-time woodsman. He's got some woods experience, whereas I come at this from a straight-up bushcraft point of view. And Craig makes axes, so
yeah,
you got to know them to make them, right? But I have this feeling that if you look back, those photos that we sometimes see at Axe Junkies of like woodsmen and lumberjacks, like back in the day, taking down these ginormous redwoods, like 100, 200 years ago kind of thing. It looks to me like all those axes are at around the 34-inch scale. Like you don't see a whole lot of little, you don't see a lot of bushcraft friendly axes.
Because they wanted the leverage to make that cut.
Yeah.
And quite often the tree did not get completely chopped down. The choppers would cut the opening face and then move on to the next tree, and the fellers would come along behind with a cross cut and
those big saws.
And make the back cut and put the wedges in to fell that tree.
Yeah.
So typically, trees didn't get chopped down. The face got chopped, and then they got back cut.
Right.
And so there's, we talked about that a little bit. There's been a change in the use of axes among forestry.
Yeah.
I have chopped down hundreds of trees. I do it with a 24-inch bar on a 5.5 horsepower chainsaw. That's what we cut.
That's why you put the air quotes around chopping. Well, yeah,
exactly.
and what I'm sort of getting at is, when you're when most of the job is not done with an axe anymore, then maybe I'm sort of thinking in two languages here, but the angular momentum you need in a bushcraft situation is nowhere near what you need if you're a straight up lumberjack. Even if you're taking like, the face, you're taking out that wedge shape from the face. When the tree is like 12 feet across, you still need a pretty long handle to get down into that wedge.
Yeah. If you're chopping that opening face, I'm still using the chainsaw to cut that wedge out.
Okay.
So my use of an axe in forestry is light limbing. Maybe there's, I need to make a mark where I'm going to buck that log. So instead of trying to use spray paint and carrying that around, I'm already carrying an axe to set my wedges and pound my wedges with.
Yeah.
Using the pole. I can take and make a little shallow cut in the bark of that tree with the axe at 12.6, 12.8, wherever I want to cut that log. And that doesn't hurt because that's going to, when they cut the slab off of that log to square it up, is going to be gone. So it becomes a very multi-purpose tool. You don't need a 34 or 36-inch haft. In fact, it's much like carving with that small forest axe. It becomes a detriment. It starts getting in the way. Anywhere from for my use, 18 to 20-inch handle is plenty for what I'm going to use on a logging axe.
Yeah.
Rooster, your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, I would add that you're basically talking about what a lot of people call a faller's axe, not a felling axe. So a faller's axe is normally a 3.5 pound or larger on bigger trees, oftentimes even up to 5 or 6 pounds. And it's on a short handle, and it's not only just for driving wedges, but you can use it to clear brush to make yourself a nice, a working safe working space instead of using your chainsaw close to the ground to get rid of the brush. Oftentimes, depending on what the bark is like, I've seen guys where they'll debark the part of the tree that they're going to cut into with their saw previously, and then even to knock out the face cut wedge if it gets stuck, to relieve that, to get it out of the way. They'll use the back of the pole or whatever. So there's multiple uses for that faller's axe, and can all be done on a short handle. I think that the reason that a lot of these axes, 3.5 pounds or larger, is still put on longer handles is because a majority of most people that use an axe nowadays is done to do splitting at home, or yard work and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the reasons that 36 handle is still popular, is because the majority of people that buy an axe are, we'll call them part-timers. They're, homesteaders, people who maybe use it twice a year, sits behind the door in the garage. It's only people that are enthusiasts that are, who like using axes will find reasons to use them.
People like me, and I'm a weekend warrior, right? I'm not out there. I'm not, taking down cords of wood and packing them up for the winter and stacking them up for the winter or anything like that. I don't have.
There's a lot of guys that do, but to them it's just work. I mean, it's not. There's a lot of people who purposely want to use an axe because it's something that they've never really experienced, or they want to get into it. And there's other people that, to them, it's just a regular tool, and just as much as swinging a hammer or using a saw, it's just called every day. Yeah. But it's not something that they're making a living at. They're more of either maintaining their own property, cutting their own firewood for heating their homes. Yep. So there's just as many reasons why guys are using them, seasonally, even for wood cutting season, as opposed to guys who are part-time cutters or loggers or even full-time loggers. So. Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's just the reality of the world we're in right now. Like the guys who were dedicated, like swinging axes for 8 hours a day, or however the hell long the day lasted for the woodsmen back in the day.
That's just not happening anymore. It's all chainsaws or big freaking machines, you know, which means that your central market has completely shifted, which I think is probably has been good for like all these little single makers, or like small shops, like Liam, guys like that who specialize in carving and bushcraft axes. He also makes a felling axe, I think, Liam, right? But
yep, I think he calls it a farm axe.
Yeah, he calls it a farm axe, and by the way, it's really pretty. Holy crap, dude! That guy is. It's funny. I don't like his knives. I don't like his knives very much because there's just too much going on. But his axe is, I love him. But like,
Liam does a good job.
Yeah, but like, I wonder.
There's a lot of makers. There's a lot of makers that have popped up that are filling that. We'll call it a niche.
Mm-hmm.
The people who want a hand forged axe, whether it's for carving or for bushcraft or even just having a nice quality tool. There is a growing niche of guys who want something that's not run of the mill, and so it's able to, for those guys to make a living or at least make extra money on the side. And I think it's great for these guys to be able to help maintain their ability to produce hand forged tools. Yeah, because there's a market. Otherwise, you just be doing it for yourself, and that can get kind of expensive hobby at that point.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely. And I wonder sometimes like how much of, because Council's been around for a long time, right? You're the last big American company standing, if I'm not mistaken. Like Man's gone, right? Kelly gone. I mean, everyone bought each other and then disappeared, except for you guys. So I would love to.
There's Snow and I want to say there's Snow and Neely still here.
Yeah, but they're kind of back, right? They don't have like an unbroken history, Hold on a second. I'm just checking the questions.
Jess, like, while you're looking through the comments there, I think we're starting to see a transformation in the logging industry, much like from the axes and the crosscut saws into the era of the chainsaw. Mm-hmm. We're now starting to see a shift from felling with chainsaws to felling with timber harvesters and feller bunchers, where the chainsaw is becoming more of an accessory tool than a primary tool, let alone the axe being a primary tool.
Yes.
Right. The chainsaw killed the axe, and the bunk and the machinery will kill the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny how it just keeps sort of, my main, the question I was thinking of, which is probably the wrong question, was like how the central, like how the numbers for big honking felling axes have changed for a company like, say, Council Tool or even Gransfors as the industry has shifted, as the chainsaws come in and killed off a lot of Swedish axe makers, to be honest, a whole bunch of American ones too. But it would be interesting to see what the numbers were 150 years ago versus the numbers 50 years ago versus the numbers 10 years ago, like, and how the biggest sellers are probably becoming smaller, like boys axe or small forest axe sized, And but I don't have any numbers to back that up or anything. It's just something that I wonder, because no fun at parties. I think about this kind of stuff.
I also think that the change in the way our most Western culture here in the United States and Canada, where there's a lot fewer family farms and a lot more people live in the cities, and the burning firewood because coal was cheaper, easier to manage. Mm-hmm. Natural gas is a lot cheaper at times. Even LP, which we run here at the house when I'm not burning wood, unless it's a couple of years ago when the price went through the roof because it got so cold. Yeah. Outside of that, that's another reason that people aren't using axes as much, because they're not, clearing field lines and cutting firewood for the house to cook on and to keep them warm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's another, I think, industry or market change that has affected the number of axe companies that are that are or aren't around anymore.
Yes. Yeah. I could see that. I could definitely see that. Rolling Homestead and Wild Edibles in excuse me, sorry guys, is WI, is that like, that's not Wyoming, is it?
Wisconsin.
No, Wisconsin.
Yep.
You guys have way too many of those little 2-letter things in the States. There's like 50 of them. You can't
Right.
keep it straight.
51 if you count DC.
Yeah, that's true. Taxation without representation.
Yeah.
That's okay. They don't need representation.
He asks, he uses a strop on his bushcraft axe. Is that a good thing? I think that's an excellent segue that I'm glad happened. Because Craig, everyone on Axe Junkies would call the method that you've done a few videos on the Rooster method. I do what I call the reverse Rooster, where I move the axe instead of the sandpaper.
Sure.
That's, in my opinion, a really good way to maintain an edge. Stropping as well. I always follow up with a strop because Rolling was asking, and I would love to hear you guys's
Yins.
Philosophies on like maintaining an edge versus like when would you get out, say, a file or not an angle grinder, but a bench grinder, those belt sander kind of things. Like, I have a pretty specific system that I use. Every now and again, I try something new. Like I've got right now a piece of float glass with some strips of the it's a film with like 1 micron grit kind of thing. So I've been sort of experimenting with that because it's working really well for chisel blades and stuff. But I've got a bunch of sharpening stones as well that I'm used to actually, like, that I used to use all the time. So I'm probably going to go back to that. But if I'm just maintaining an edge, the Rooster method works great for me. And then I follow up with a strop. But like, what do you guys do when you're maintaining an edge versus repairing a ding?
I'll let Paul go first on that one, and I'll add on how he maintains.
So typically with a ding, I don't try and get it all out right away. I will file if I need to. General maintenance, I use a puck, 2-sided puck. I don't carve with my axes. It's not. I'm not a big carver, so I don't need to go to the point of a strop. Typically for me, a 2-sided puck will do all the maintenance I need to do. It will split. It will, pull clean chips. If I get a ding and I can try and burnish that back into place before I file so that I don't make a bigger, gouge in the bit, I will do it.
Yeah.
But that's generally for me. I buy a used axe. There's some bit damage. I'll file it and then go to the puck. Yeah. And then regular maintenance, I just use the puck.
Yeah,
I want to try the Rooster method. I haven't done that yet.
Well, one thing I do want to point out, which actually Rolling just said that he shaves with his axe. The very first video I ever made was of me shaving with my tiny Wetterlings hand hatchet. But for anything that's not a carving axe, I don't go for hair popping sharp anymore. I don't feel that I need it. I need my axes to be sharp, but I don't need them to be, popping the hair off sharp, because I find that edge is not as robust as one that's just a little off of that. So I no longer go for it. I want a glossy edge because, excuse me. Sorry, beer, guys. I want a glossy edge because scratches, like, the more texture you have, the more chance rust gets. Just sort of, So I go for the real glossy look. The fact that it looks spectacular is actually more of a tertiary benefit. But I don't go for that real sort of laser edge anymore. On my carving axes, it's a different situation. There I like them to be real sharp, because I'm usually when I'm carving a spoon, I go right up to the line with the axe. I don't do sort of the rough shape and then go to the knives the way some people do.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the axe work is the joy. The knife work is sort of the let's just get it finished. So I chop right up to the line. So for my carving axes, because I'm not like whapping the way I am if I'm splitting or doing kindling or whatever. But I'm usually taking real small, like controlled cuts. There, I'm okay to go real sharp because it's not the same situation. You know,
Do you get to the point, Jess, where you're almost push cutting with the axe doing your carving?
all the time, all the time. That's sort of
where you want that fine razor edge.
Yep.
Yep.
We call it chisel on a stick.
Yeah.
And I will call it that too from this point on.
Chisel on a stick.
Yeah.
So Rooster, your additional thoughts on maintaining an edge?
Yes. So I would follow your technique to the letter for 99% of all the people out there that are using an axe for work. That's exactly. I mean, there's no reason to if you've got a chip, there's no reason to take all that extra metal off to get that chip out of there. Most of the time when you're using it, that little chip is not going to see any significance in decrease in performance. Mm-hmm. It's more of a, it just sometimes will just irritate people to see that there is that problem. For sharpening, I like to break it down into three categories. First is setting a bevel. And when you set a bevel, you're either changing the geometry or improving the geometry, or maybe you are taking out a chip. Right. Even at setting a bevel with a file, typically with a file, sometimes with a flap disc on an angle grinder or a belt grinder, there's a lot of times where you can actually get that axe to a point where you can actually work with it. There's no reason to take it any further. The next stage or the next category is what I call the sharpening. So you go from setting the bevel to sharpening. And sharpening is where you use a puck or use a finer file or you use the sandpaper or even a belt grinder that does have a better belt on it to get a little more refined edge. And then the last section is what I call honing. And those are usually generally carving axes or bushcraft axes that you're trying to do skills or chores that most people use a knife for. Yeah. But you can use an axe and do the same thing. My son actually hit a deer last winter with his van, and he was able to keep the deer, and we brought it over and we ended up skinning it, processing it. And we actually processed the entire deer with one of those camp carvers. Now, I was able to open her up and gut her easily just because the edge on that axe was so sharp, it acted like a knife. There's a couple of my working axes that I could probably do it with, but because I don't take those edges that far, that camp carver worked out really good almost as a butcher's knife or a butcher's axe. So between those three different categories, depending on where that axe is at any given time, and you decide to take that axe to the next step, or you think you need to refine it, you basically figure out, okay, where am I within the bevel section, or where am I within the sharpening, or do I just need to hone it? And then work from that direction forward to a point where you feel you're comfortable with your edge. Now, with the sharpening system that I've been using, which I did not develop that system. It's actually two separate systems that I combined into one. So just because that guys will use my name in reference to it, it's only because that they named it after me. It's actually basically a combination of scary sharp sharpening for chisels and mouse pad sharpening for knives. And so basically a drywall pad is the same rubber that a mouse pad is made out of, give or take. And the scary sharp is just taking different grits of sandpaper and working your way up to basically a mirror or polished edge. Yeah. So that's scary sharp for axes with a drywall pad. You can stop and start wherever you want with that. Normally, I usually stop at about 600 grit for what I call a working axe. because you really don't need to take it any farther than that.
Okay.
So I don't know if that explains or helps you guys understand at what point you should or shouldn't take your axe. I mean, it's all in personal preference. For me, it's form follows function, or vice versa, depending on how you look at it. And so unless you absolutely need it to be hair popping sharp,
which I virtually
either you don't. It's more of a preference of the user and the person sharpening it. I mean, a lot of guys like to do it, like to get them really sharp because it's a skill and it's something that they want to be good at, and it's something that they can show off. I mean, there's no we're all human. We all want to be good at something and be able to share that success with other people. So I think that's one of the things that you see a lot of people taking them too farther, too really sharp, is because they can, not because they need it.
Well, there's another aspect to this that I actually I'm going to finish that thought, but I do want to say we're at an hour now, and so the format that I had figured would probably work well would be that after an hour I would open it up to people who wanted to join in. If you guys are okay with that, I'll do that now.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, two things to mention. One is just kind of Rooster mentioned processing that deer with an axe. One thing that we typically don't think about in the bushcraft community is a hunter's axe. Specifically used the rounded pole to help remove the hide.
I want one of those, like I want the Kunis, okay? Because I want to do that. You're hitting it with that rounded pole to get the
get the hide off. Yep. So there's an axe that we don't typically think about, but has a very specific purpose. The other thing I'll say is that it's okay to baton with an axe. Some people have seen me do that, and they're like, "What are you doing? I'm maintaining control of my cut."
Yeah.
And strike placement.
A baton. Yeah, exactly. If I just need to split a piece of firewood, that's great. I'll swing it. But if I want to take a 1/2 inch, flat off of that log to use for carving a spoon or whatever else, put it on there and baton it. Absolutely do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what Jamie L. Burley said. He said that aggressive picks and dings use an aggressive file and stones if you absolutely need it gone. Most wood splitting and small dings don't matter. Small fine work demands a more refined edge. He sort of took everything that we said over the past 10 minutes and distilled.
That's why he's Jamie Burley.
Yeah,
he's a smart man. Don't let him fool you.
Because it's absolutely right. And one thing that another thing that sort of changed my thinking, because I used to be like, everything's got to be hair popping sharp, right? I'm just sharpening, and geez, 2 hours later, it's, this is perfect. But I want my daughter to have my tools when I'm gone. In fact, I have tried to bring her up as someone who's interested in the outdoors so that my tools don't get sold for what I said they cost when I'm gone. But part of that is because I have a bayonet off a Ross rifle, okay? Those of you who aren't Canadian may not know what that is, but I'll tell you something. The Ross rifle is Canadiana like you wouldn't believe. But here's the thing. Part of that is because I have somebody's got to mute their YouTube. But here's the thing. It has been sharpened so much that from that blade shape that it was 112 years ago or whatever, it's just a toothpick now. And when I pulled that out of the sheath, I was like, phew, and immediately stopped using stones and stuff on my axes until I absolutely have to. I strop as much as I can. I maintain the edge religiously so that I don't have to bring files and stones to that edge. Because, I mean, how many of us have seen a black raven and thought, woo, but it's been like sharpened all the way down to a nub. I don't want to do that to my treasured axes. Because you don't have to. Unless it's a carving axe, I don't need to be able to, slice, I don't know what, like tissue paper with the blade. I'd rather keep the blade there. So now that I've said that, and obviously everybody agrees with me, I'll just welcome Dennis from Canoe Hound Adventures. And there's Mr. Rolling Homestead, who I've just found out is a machinist. I may have work because I've got some vintage planes that are missing their cap screws and stuff. So I may just have to send you an email. Yeah.
So Jess, picking up. I'm not sure if everyone else is having the same problem, but
That are missing their I know.
now I can't hear you at all. So
somebody needs to mute their.
Is having the same problem, but
mine's all muted, so I'm good.
I can't hear you at all. So
that may be me.
Needs to
looks like we got
yeah, somebody's
Schubert online here.
Yeah.
And is that Kevin Johnson?
No, it's Ron Schubert.
I don't have much audio. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. But somebody's still got their YouTube not muted, so we're hearing an echo.
I got my YouTube closed right out, so it's not me.
You got it closed right out? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's no longer me.
All right. Perfect. Sweet. So thanks to everyone for joining in.
How you doing, gents?
Doing fine. About yourself?
Do I need to turn off my video so the other guys can have more stream time? Is that what you did, Paul?
Whoop. Somebody just no, because if he probably turned it off because he's having a tech issue. His phone might be dead or something.
Okay.
But no, you can hang out because I'm getting the feeling that some people who are wanting to come on will probably want to ask you guys questions, and talk to you guys. Dennis, I missed almost all of your stream tonight. I just got on for the tiny bit of time that I had between getting home and coming on, but that looked like a fun stream. So
yeah, we all donned our Santa hats, and I had my little farting Santa on there too, right? So
yeah.
You ever hear this guy?
No.
Listen careful.
Oh my God! It sounds like my house.
A little lighter now.
But that's it.
Hold on, I just want to address something that Zach said.
Yeah, I love your topic tonight, Jess. Is axe talk? I like that.
I do love me the axe. It's my favorite tool of all time.
I kind of figured as much.
I love the axe.
We probably have more axes than you have underwear, right?
No. Yes, yes, I do. But that's because I need more underwear. I really try not to collect anymore. I have a very, very deep-seated need to collect, but all that has done for me over my life is bury me in stuff. So for stuff like knives or like knives or axes, I'm trying to really trim it down to like models of things that I really want and nothing else. And almost only stuff that I will take out into the woods or use. I have virtually no safe queens of any type. Mm-hmm. But it's not because I don't kind of want 400 axes. It's because I don't want to fall back into that trap because I don't have the room. We bought a smallish house, and Camille and I are the only bushcrafters here, so it's not like I can get away with sticking them up in the living room kind of thing,
The question that I have is there an angle that is for an axe that is actually, because if I'm swinging my axe and I got my normal axe out, I can bury it about halfway into the tree.
Did we lose audio?
No.
No.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So
I can't hear the other guys though now.
Really? You can't hear me?
You hear me?
I can hear Jess. Yep.
Jess, you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about me?
Yep.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
All right. So the question is, as like my
so for all the people who are watching, who are the two guys that just joined us?
Yeah.
Introduce yourselves,
guys. So let's start with Rolling Homestead.
I'm Rolling Homestead, otherwise known as Mark. We have a homesteading channel, and we do bushcraft. We take the homesteading and combine bushcraft together because it's equal as that. I've been a lifetime machinist. I'm also a vet, and I love to make things really sharp. I guess you could say that.
is his mic on? I can't hear him.
You can't hear him, really?
Yeah, I got him.
No.
Dennis, you can hear me?
Yeah, I got you there, Mark.
Okay. Huh. I don't know.
Um,
Welcome to Streamlabs. Or Streamyard, sorry.
Yeah.
This ain't Streamlabs.
I say that all the time too.
Yeah. So I had to step away for a minute, but I do have a quick question for Mark.
Sure.
So kind of a odd question, but I see you're in a log home.
I had the same question when I first met
Okay.
this guy.
Okay, but I used to work for a log home company, so kind of have an interest in it.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you one of the things that with our channel. I'm in a full studio, so I can do this. I can do this at any time. Meet Ed.
I see.
Yeah. My channel is a little bit different than everybody else's that are in here.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can, like I did before, I can bring up a lot of stuff and make.
So, do you live in a log home?
Actually, no, I live in a.
Okay.
My
Turn
house.
it off for just a second, see what happens. I'm trying to turn it off.
My house is built in 1912. I live in a brick house.
Okay.
I live up in
I'm
north.
trying to figure out if my Wi-Fi has been stressed.
I live way up in northern Wisconsin where it's really nasty and cold. So, but we do use, we burn wood.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yep, I can hear you.
I got you. Yep.
My
So
favorite.
I think I missed out on what was said in the last about 5 minutes. So what are we on for topic?
We're still on introductions.
I was going to say that Paul just sort of came back and noticed that log cabin and asked a variant of the same thing that I asked. You remember the first time I spoke to you? I said, "I got to ask you, is that your house?" With envy turning me green. He's like, "No, man."
See, there's a thing that was going on when we do our live streams. My partner, when we do our Saturday night live streams, he has this gorgeous living room, and it's a backdrop. It's a back screen.
Okay.
And everybody kept asking me, where does Merle live? Because he's just unbelievable, that house. And I said, I just laughed because I didn't want to give it away. So the one day I said, okay, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to show you something that's going to make everybody's mouth water. When I put up my back screen, they're like, okay, Merle's is no longer important anymore. But this is what we're a homesteading channel or bushcraft channel also, and we do a lot of live streaming. So I have a complete studio where I can come in and turn on. So I have all this at my fingertips. So anybody in the chat, this is just how it is.
Gotcha.
One of the things that we like to do is you guys are talking about axes. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and everything was cut down with saws. And at that time, it was either a Steel or a Delmar Sax. And I'm a big Delmar Sax fan. I've got 2 of them in the shed. I love them. But I'll tell you what, my bushcraft axe, when you can shave with an axe, it makes a whole different concept because most people can't do that. And obviously, you don't need that for work. But one of my problems is my axes will sink in halfway into the head. And then you got to actually wiggle them back out. And I'm having problems with my wedges staying in when I do that.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
And the thing of it is, I'm 6'5", 280 pounds, so I got some power behind me. But when I sink these and these are in cedar, pine, stuff like that. We do have ironwood, which they'll chip out pretty good. But when I go into the cedar, when I go into the pine, those axes will come in and they'll go halfway into the head. The head gets stuck. And then I got to wiggle them, and then all of a sudden I see my wedges are starting to pop loose. So you guys got axe guys up here. I'm like, oh, this is perfect because this is a big problem for me. Because obviously when I'm on the camp, I'm not taking my chainsaw with me. I'm taking my bushcraft axe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 23-inch Wisconsin iron bushcraft axe is all this is. So why would that make such a difference? Is it because I'm putting that sharp edge on there? Is my angles off?
Man, I very much wish that Rooster could hear what you were saying.
Yeah,
Because
I just seen that comment that he's not able to hear the new guys. I guess Dennis and Mark.
You know, I could step down, see if it's me. I'll jump down and maybe that'll.
Well, I was wondering if maybe I don't know if Rooster's using wireless headphones, but it sounds like the kind of thing that happens when my wireless headphones start to go on me. You know,
I'm actually plugged in. I'm
you're
direct wired to my phone right now, and I can hear Paul and I can hear Jess.
Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing anything from Rolling Homestead at all.
Hello.
So,
that is the weirdest thing.
but I appreciate him being here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Quickly, just throw the link
That's
back
okay.
in there.
You guys can just fill me in later.
I'll pop back in here and
Well, let me just real quick. So Rooster, what he's saying is that when he's at camp, he doesn't have his chainsaw with him, and when he's chopping a tree down with an axe, he's sinking the head in like halfway, and when he has to wiggle it back out, he's seeing his wedges backing out on him. So he's asking what could be causing that. My only thought is that just the simple momentum of wiggling that axe back out is rocking that tree enough that the wedges are starting to slip.
Maybe. I mean,
So the wedge in his axe. I mean, the wedge that holds the head
axe.
on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, one thing that would stop that is gluing the wedge in instead of using BLO or something.
Yeah, Mark, are you talking the wedges in the haft, or are you talking your felling wedges?
my wedges that are in the top of the axe are the copper. They're the copper wedges with they got the flutes coming up, so they
Steps.
Yeah, the steps coming in so they grab in. And I
Okay.
think right now that axe, when I first started, it just had the original two that it came with, and then I actually snapped that axe off, the head, everything. So I cut it down, redid it, put it back on, and now what happens is I got two copper wedges in there, and it seems like I can get halfway through a tree, and I got to tap
You'll
that
have to
back
translate
up.
for me, Outdoor.
Yeah, so it's not his felling wedges. It's the wedges in the top of the haft. He has two copper step wedges in there, and they're actually backing out on him.
Okay. Yeah, so there could be a number of reasons for that. One, if the wedge is made out of, sometimes if it's made out of a hardwood that doesn't crush at all, like sometimes we'll use an oak wedge or even like a walnut wedge. Sometimes those are so hard that they will kind of skate out, whereas a poplar wedge which is still hard but not as hard as those, will actually sort of conform or get crushed when you drive them, and that crushing will sometimes keep that wedge in. If it's a poplar wedge and he's got it in pretty good, it's possible the angle of that wedge is too large, and it's acting almost like a wedge to open up a cut, and so it is only making contact near the top, and there's nothing else that's squeezing that wedge inside the kerf.
Yep, these are
So
copper
if he
wedges.
changes the angle and makes it a longer wedge and drives it farther in, that may help. Otherwise, if you can pull that wedge and throw some wood glue in there and then drive it home, let it set for a day and a half and let it cure, hopefully that wedge won't pop out on him.
This isn't the wooden wedge. It's a copper step wedges, like the metal, like a steel, the fluted steel wedge.
The full length steel ones, the big markers.
They're actually full fluted copper wedges. These
Okay, so he's got an aluminum wedge he's using?
Copper.
It's
He said
copper.
he's got a full width copper fluted wedge, and it's backing out. So yeah, my suggestion there would be to go with a poplar wedge, either wood glue or boiled linseed oil on it before you drive it in, and then set a steel, a fluted steel, like a 1/2 inch wide, 3/4 inch wide
safety wedge.
Yeah, safety wedge across that wedge.
So it has nothing to do with me sharpening it as sharp as I'm doing it.
No, it's just the fact that those wedges are backing out of that kerf. They're maybe not getting a good full bind across it, and go to a softwood wedge.
All right, sounds good.
I want to make one small suggestion before we continue. Rooster, jump out, quit the browser or whatever, and then jump back in.
I'll be right back there.
Let's see if that'll if that'll solve your sound problem. And by the way,
Okay.
Dennis, jump back in because it didn't make a difference for Rooster.
Okay, I'm going to try now.
Yeah. Man, that's weird. That's really weird. I just want to see if that solves his issue because, well, Mark's not here anyway, but I mean, aside from you, Paul, he knows everything.
Yeah.
Having you and him both on the stream is like,
I want to get Dennis back in if he's available, but I see Tyler Wood. I don't know if he was going to jump in here.
I'll look, Tyler. I just put the link up because I would like to have Dennis and Craig back, but I also think that Tyler would probably have something interesting to add to this. Serge says, there we go. There, Dennis is back. Nice.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just wife just brought me a sandwich. It's
Nice.
dinner.
I could use a
How you
sandwich.
doing, Dub?
Hey, good. How are you, Dennis?
Good, man.
Good. So Serge used an oak wedge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, Serge did a really nice axe hang with a walnut wedge.
Sorry, that's me. Okay, done, fixed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, Serge, you did like a cross wedge with walnut, didn't you?
Yeah, and he had like walnut accents on the doe's foot too, if I remember correctly.
Was that him?
Man, I'm thinking it was.
Hold on, Rooster's coming back in. All right, let's see if that solves the issue. How you doing, Rooster? Everyone say hi to Rooster, so we'll see if he hears all of us.
Hey guys, I can hear Jess.
Okay.
Hey, Rooster.
Just joking. That's me.
Right. You hear Dennis?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear Dauber.
Okay.
Everything else sounds jumbled a little bit.
Weird. I don't get it.
I don't know what the deal is, but anyways, just keep on going, guys. I'll figure it on my end.
All right.
If nothing else, I'll just nod a lot.
Okay.
Smile and wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You heard me.
Serge, by the way, Paul says that he used it for the palm swells. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dennis, why don't you actually introduce yourself too, just in case there's someone here who doesn't know you?
Yeah, just Dennis from Canoe Hound Adventures, basically an outdoor channel. I do a lot of canoe tripping. I'm not a bushcrafter, but I practice a lot of bushcraft skills and just an outdoor lover. So what you guys are talking about is right up my alley too, because I got a few axes and love to know how to maintain them and stuff like that.
Hey, I'd like to know what you have, Dennis, because you don't talk a whole lot about your axes because you're usually talking more about canoes.
I got a couple of no-name axes. Then I got a Husqvarna 19-inch carpenter's axe. One of the old, what are they called? Geez, they were one of the popular metal axes back in the day, like with the full handle metal. What are they called? Pardon?
Estwing.
Maybe
Yeah, East Wing. Yeah, East Wing. Yeah. And then I got a couple of small, like little, just I don't even think they have a name. Just little carving axes, pretty much. And then I got a Holtzbrooks, an older Holtzbrooks as well that I'm sort of just tweaking and working on. It's more of a showpiece than it is a working axe, but that'll change one day.
Dennis, if I ever get to your end, your neck of the woods, I want to see that carpenter's axe because I don't have one, but I really want one, and I don't think I can. I can't go the Gransfors price anymore. Because they've been sort of, I don't know about you guys in the States, but up here, man, holy crap, dude. So I don't think I can buy another Gransfors at this point. So I was looking at that one, I think Lee Valley sells that one too, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Well, the Husqvarna, I actually, where did I buy that? I think I just picked that up off of Amazon, maybe. And when I got it, I'll admit, and a lot of people on YouTube have said this, like videos and reviews I've watched. is they're not the best finish axes, but if you're willing to put a couple of hours time into it there, you can really turn it into a nice piece. And that's what I did. I reprofiled it, had a really flat cutting edge to it. I give it a bit more of an arc. Like I couldn't even put it cross grain into a piece of wood at one time. Like when I first got it.
Yeah.
Now she just buries.
Rooster. I don't know if you heard what Dennis just said, but he was talking about, because he has a Husqvarna carpenter's axe, and as you heard me saying, I would really like to try one of those, because I would like to add one to the stable, especially for my my guess wooden beam hewing carpentry project.
Sure.
And he was saying that
makes sense.
in order to make it work for him, he had to sort of take that really flat bit and sort of add a radius to it, which of course. I'm like, what are you doing? It's a carpenter's axe. But he makes a good point that when he's chopping, rather than like what you would use a carpenter's axe for, when he's just trying to chop wood, of course, it's not going to bite as well as something with a nice curve to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, a carpenter's axe, it was used for, multiple different reasons. And having a flat bit like that, it's everything from almost using it almost like a paring tool or a slick.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me. And there's no reason why you couldn't put a radius on it a little bit to get it to bite. But it all depends on the application and what you're actually using it for. So,
Yeah.
I think that the Husqvarna carpenter's axes are heavy-headed for one-handed use. I think that they are really good two-handed axes, and or you can also use it to baton. So use it almost like a chisel, and make a baton or make a mallet or use a mallet, and use it like a chisel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I reprofiled mine so much though was like right off the shelf. Like when I received this thing, it wasn't even a straight like. The face of it just was not straight. It was actually like, sort of did one of these things, right?
Oh, really?
I say every review I read on that axe, it needed to be. Everybody said it needs to be fine tuned. So
yeah, those Huskies will work.
Exactly. So I figured if I'm going to take it down that much, actually, my buddy Dave from Beasley Ironworks, he did a lot of work on it for me, and I love the axe now. It's a nice axe. It's a nice piece. We actually removed so much metal that I have to put another rivet in the in the strap that holds the mask on, right? So
in the sheath, in the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Husqvarna axes are made by Holtz Brooks, I believe.
Yep.
Are they really?
Yeah, but they're not. They don't put the time and effort into them to take them to that next level, and the price reflects that. But if you're willing to do a few hours worth of work yourself, you can turn those into a nice axe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And traditionally, the carpenter's axe was used for rough joinery, mortises, those types of things. Actually, using it as a general bushcraft axe is a little different purpose, but
there's a video online of Rooster, I think, cutting a tenon with an axe that I watch time and time again because I want to do that. And that carpenter's axe would be actually, Rooster. Do you want to put the link to that in the side chat? If you have, see, I don't know who Rooster can hear.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah.
In fact,
so
I heard.
You want to put that link to that?
I heard Dennis on that one. So
okay.
And I heard Outdoor.
Okay.
All right, Jeff.
Because I watch that video a lot because I want to do that, and I see a carpenter's axe being perfect for the kind of stuff that he was doing in that video.
So here's a question, Jess. This is the axe. This is the head.
Yeah.
And as you can see, and that thing has 3 copper wedges that are in there right now. And that's just split on the handle, so there's no actual wedge in there. I got to actually recut this back down now because I've already cut the handle down twice, and now it doesn't want to fit on there.
Wait, show that again.
That almost looks like a Hudson Bay
or a Rhineland, right?
Yeah, the pole. Yeah, the pole, there's not much pole there there's a lot of bit, not a lot of pole to hold that on.
So it's either I got to get a new handle, and I really like the way this back handle is because this is perfect for, one-handed work. And at the same time, I can go like this, and I can do my shaving and stuff. But this, every time you go in the woods, you're worried this thing's going to fall off.
Mark, have you tried soaking that and like putting it in a sort of small pail of linseed oil? Let that wood soak in the linseed.
No, not yet. I haven't tried it.
That could help expand the wood, perhaps, to maybe give it more grip.
Yeah, I'll have to try that because I really don't want to change the handle because I like how this one's feels. I got to sand it down. The head itself is super sharp. I was headed in a house here splitting wood for the fireplace, and I tightened it all up and a couple swings, and I get this.
Yeah, a lot of times
let me interject quick, guys. So I'm going to try and do this with my hands. Okay, so you may want to try and pull whatever wedges are there, take the head off, okay? And if there's a ledge, let me see if I can find an axe here. If there's a ledge right underneath the eye here.
Yep, there is.
And that head sits on that ledge.
Yep.
That actually creates a pivot point so that when you get the axe stuck in there and push your handle, it'll actually work its way out. What you need to do is take the head off and make that ledge more of a sweep up into the eye. So you almost have to you're going to rehang the axe.
Yeah, okay.
And once you get a sweep going all the way in and then drive it down, then there's no pivot point for it to work its way out again. So you can keep the same handle, but you have to bring down your shoulders and sweep it into the eye.
Okay.
Make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And that's typical for heads that are set or sometimes they're pressed on. And if that shelf or the curl that's created when you press it on, if that's not trimmed off, allowing that handle to go directly up inside, then you get those pivot points and it's easy for that handle to work its way out of the head again. So even though I like the idea of trying to tighten it up with some boiled linseed oil, boiled linseed oil will do a little bit of that, but it's mostly just prevent moisture from coming and going out of the axe, as opposed to really fattening it to swell it up. So I would recommend trying to rehang that head and make it a nice gradual sweep up into the eye.
That's a good tip.
And then you can come back and show us how you did and how it performs.
I didn't notice. I didn't notice that there was like an ninja shelf on that. Because
you can see it on here, but I've already cut it down once. So you can see where it enters in here.
Yeah.
And you can see where it used to be. And it keeps on moving,
Yeah.
It's nice.
Find somebody with a duplicator and have them make another half just like you've got.
I'll just take that into work and I'll put it on a grinder and I can just grind that back.
Yeah.
And I can get that fixed up in no time. I actually thought it was the wedges. I had hardwood, I went to softwood, and then I went to the semi, and then somebody told me, "Oh, put some copper heads in there and see if that'll help you." Because there's your size and stuff, you're just swinging it way too hard. Okay, well, I never heard of that before.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't seem like. I mean, they're axes.
Well,
they're meant for heavy use.
If worst comes to worst, you can send it to me and I'll work on it for you.
It sounds good.
You won't see it back for like a year and a half because he'll be using it, but
I'll be watching this video. I'll go, "Hey, there's my axe."
Yeah, that's
Rooster,
right.
is there any difference between using well, I guess it would be called maybe a round wedge versus a regular contemporary wedge?
You mean like those circular wedges?
Yeah, they call it a barrel wedge.
A barrel wedge, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any
Barrel
big
wedge,
difference between the two, or it's just?
Well, sometimes a barrel wedge will keep the primary wedge from coming out without splitting the top of the handle. Because sometimes you'll go,
Here's one.
if the wedge is too big or too wide, it will a flat wedge. It's a flat steel wedge. Well, sometimes they'll split the handle where you drive it in.
Yeah.
And whereas a barrel wedge sometimes, if you do it right, you're only basically making it just a little bit bigger than the diameter or the thickness of the wedge, of the main wedge. And so sometimes that barrel wedge keeps it from splitting.
So the
So,
barrel wedge then primary function is to hold the wooden wedge in and keep it from backing out.
That's the primary. Yep.
Where the flat wedges, sometimes their primary use becomes to cover up a bad hang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the primary is to keep the main wedge from working its way up. The secondary is sometimes that added thickness that you're adding, front to back, from the eye back to the pole. Sometimes you can get a little bit of expansion there to help keep the head on, but I think that most of the time that is, you don't really get as much benefit out of it as most people think.
Right.
So it's primarily just to keep the main wedge from moving around. And oftentimes you don't even need it. I mean, I seldom use it for my own hangs. I just take a little extra time and just making sure that my main wedge is done right. And sometimes I'll use some glue. So
I'm just adding a. Serge is leaving. Rats. All right, bye, Serge. Did I add my?
Did your small force axle, did that come with the barrel wedge on that, or is that something you added?
The small for no. What I showed you was the council tool. The council,
the council tool
goes with it. Do they all come with that? Oops. Do they all come with that, Craig?
They have. It's possible they may be changing away from that because of the fact that the handle is hung crowd. Sometimes by adding that barrel wedge, because the barrel wedge is large compared to the eye, that you do get some mushrooming from that barrel wedge.
Yeah.
Barrel wedges work really good in hangs that are flush and not mushroomed or hung proud.
Okay.
So it's something that we're working on, trying to dial it in so that we're not causing any damage.
Right.
Your small force axis looks nice. Yeah.
It's got the where am I? It's got that, but they're not doing that anymore. They're not putting them in anymore. It's just the wooden wedge now. They say that they don't really need it. And for my own hangs, I almost never use something like that either. I just use the wooden wedge most of the time.
Now, wasn't you?
I think that one of the reasons. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, Dennis, I did see, Rooster, I did see on Bushcraft USA there was a thread that a guy had bought a Council Tools axe, and exactly what you just described, where when the barrel wedge was inserted, it kind of mushroomed the head a little bit, and he thought it was a quality control issue, and apparently contacted Council, and they said, no, it's not a quality control issue. It simply is, when we insert that barrel wedge. So that's a good point that they're looking at it.
Right. I think the main reason that those wedges are used is, every manufacturer is concerned about liability, and by adding a wedge, it hopefully will give a layer of protection from the wedge ever coming out.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a combination of trying to build a product that doesn't fail, balanced with how that product ends up looking when you use a wedge. And so I think that's we're constantly trying to improve the products. That's one of my goals with Council, is to do product improvement, whether it be from a design standpoint or fit and finish, or even new products. And so it's a constant trying to please the market, as well as make a quality product that we're going to be proud of.
Well, and just judging by someone who's looked at the Council Tool lineup over several years now, it seems that there's a lot more exciting designs coming out recently. So you're definitely doing something right there.
What is the heaviest?
Yeah, thanks. And I have to give a lot of credit to the axe community and the bushcraft community for being vocal on what they're looking for and what the market's not providing.
Yeah.
I just like to think of myself as a really good listener, and I'm trying to fill niches where other manufacturers are not focused on.
Yeah.
Do they make a heavier bushcraft axe than the normal ones?
Say that again.
They make a heavier bushcraft axe with the head's a little bit heavier. You get more power behind it.
Yeah, that's the thing is our boys axe is about the heaviest small axe that we make. The pack axe that we make is only 2 pounds, so it's a quarter pound lighter than that.
Yep.
And then the camp carver is 26 ounces, so it's 1 pound 10 ounces. So it's between those three. The camp carver is hopefully going to come out with a longer handle, which then will bridge the gap between the short handled one and the 24-inch pack axe.
Yep.
Going heavier than that for bushcraft, there's a lot of guys that don't like the extra weight. I'm sure there would be plenty of guys who would enjoy that, but we really have to. It's one of the things that I struggle with is that you almost have to, if you're going to produce a new tool, you have to cover multiple markets because you can't just rely on the axe enthusiasts to float you on any project.
Right.
There's not enough of us to make it profitable to make a new tool. I mean, just the tooling costs just to make a new tool are pretty high, and that's even before we even buy the steel, buy the materials, and put the labor into it.
Yeah.
And so it takes a while for a tool to basically sell enough units to pay for itself, even to start production. So I try to listen to what the majority, or I call it there's an 80-20 rule where 20% of the people do make 80% of your business. I have another 80% rule, and that is focusing on the middle 80%. Mm-hmm. The top 10% are going to spend money however they want. The bottom 10% are really not going to probably have money to spend on a product like that. So by trying to keep the middle 80 content, or build something or make something that that those people would be potential customers for, that's where I try to focus the designs on.
So what would happen if I take like a 4140 and I anneal it and I make an axe head out of it?
There are plenty of guys that make axes out of 4140. I think Liam makes them out of 4140.
Well, the question I ask about that, because I can anneal, I can heat treat, I can do anything I want to that axe head. And what I'm thinking is I can just throw one in a machine and knock one out in probably in about an hour. And if I do that with 4140 and I anneal it, I'm going to hold my edge a little bit better, but I'm going to have the problem of keeping, once I want to sharpen it, once anything's annealed, it doesn't want to hold an edge.
Sure. Then you'd have to temper, or you'd have to quench the blade and then temper it back.
Right.
So you'd have to harden the bit.
Yeah, because you don't want to leave
back.
It's the same as a knife. You don't want it to stay annealed.
So what would be for the material wise, what is the peak hardness? Are you looking at 35 Rockwell? You're looking under 35 Rockwell? What's about the perfect zone, I guess you would want to say?
Sure. So I'm not a metallurgist and I'm not a bladesmith, but I play one on TV. 4140, as I have been told, that you can get it to the low 50s.
You can,
if you do it right.
Exactly. You can get up into the 50-55 range if you do it right.
Yeah.
You're probably shooting for what, 40 to 45 though, ideally on that axe bit, Rooster?
I think, well, a lot of it has come down to, what you're expecting it to do.
Right.
I mean, that's why the most carving axes are higher grades. And just regular axes like 1060, 1055, 1070, it still holds an edge good enough and well enough to make it a usable tool.
But I also feel that you want a harder edge on a carving axe because you're not afraid of like hitting a knot by accident while you're kicking, while you're kicking chips out of a tree. Whereas with a forest axe, you'd want it to be slightly lower on the rock wall so that you wouldn't run the same risk of chipping the bit. Like I would rather roll a bit than chip it any day of the week and twice.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The thing that I'm looking at is he's saying right now that anything above 3, the consumer out there isn't normally going to run with that kind of axe. So if you're running a 3.5 pound axe, most bushcrafters don't want it because of the weight. Well, there's some of us out here that are bigger than that we would like to have the little extra weight behind it and run with a smaller handle. So what I'm saying is I could take this and I could actually just take a chunk of 4140 steel from work and I can mill out a head in no time. I can anneal it, and I'm going to be pushing, if I actually do take it to the heat treat, I can get it to 40-50 Rockwell, but if I break that off, I'm breaking that whole tip off because everybody knows that something that hard, all it takes is a little twist and it's going to snap right off.
Right.
Yeah. So my suggestion there, Mark, if you're looking for a 3 to 3.5 pound head, is to look at the antique market, look at the vintage axe heads.
Yeah.
I saw one this past summer. It was I think 3.25 pound Wetterling's head for like $25-$30 at a flea market. So if Council Tools isn't making that, and you're wanting something in that weight range, I would look rather than if you want to experiment with it just for the simple sake of saying, can I make an axe head? Go for it. But I think there's better options out there.
Yeah, it just takes care of a Friday night when you're bored and you don't have nothing to do too.
Hey, in that case, Mark, make 2. Send me
one to field trial. Yeah,
and I'll send it back to you once I've done a few videos.
The really cool thing is they just bought me a brand new 5-axis mill, so I can do some radial and stuff that most machine tools can't do. And we've been playing around with other things and doing some fun things and stuff like that. And but when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking we got all that square head in the back, square stock, and that's 4140, and that's already annealed. So all I got to do is throw it in there and put a couple face mills in there and a carbide end mill, and I can actually profile that out and get that head and just come back in there and just make my hole for my handle. So it wouldn't take long at all because it's all conversational. So I can actually just tell the machine what I want it to do.
Right. Wow. I'm glad to know you. It's funny because,
buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, pal, you want a cup of coffee? No.
Well, the funny thing is that I the stuff that I do make when I'm normally working is just out of this world. It's just unbelievable what they go into, and I can't talk about it because it's a military thing, so I can't really talk about what we make. But some of the stuff we do is the 5-axis machining. Some of the, you got $2.5 million machines that we're running. So it's pretty simple to throw some in there and just conversationally program it in there to cut whatever you want out.
It's funny because I'm about to get off track, but I'll say this and then I'll get back on track. Shut up, Jess. There's that guy in Toronto making knives, and he's got a YouTube channel. I think he's originally from Australia or something, because that ain't a Toronto accent. But instead of the way most people that we all know make knives, this guy, he just uses like CNC machines and stuff, and just.
It's really cool to take some of our old files that we use, because once they get loaded up with material, we just throw them out. Well, I'll take them home and I'll unheat treat them. I'll just throw them in a fire, let the fire go out, and then it's just amazing what you can do with files.
Yeah. Simone says, yeah, it's Gau, whatever, Gaughh. But yeah, like it's an interesting. It's the kind of thing that Mark you would. What the hell's wrong with this scotch? It's the kind of thing that you might be able to do with your machines, right? You just put the piece of whatever, or whatever, and just have the machines do it.
It's all right if you get that kind of material, but a lot of times is you want the multi-layer, because a blade will flex. So every time that you heat a material up and you bend it up, it actually causes another layer. So when you get into like 17 layer 23 layer and stuff like that, you have that multiple layers in there, which allows that knife to bend. Like a samurai sword has umpteen layers into it, which allows it to do what it's able to do. That's a difference that I'm trying to figure out with what Rooster's saying here, is that I can, I got the ovens, I got everything. If I forge a block and I bend it and I give it a 23 layer, I put the edge on there and I machine it, I think I can be able to keep that edge where I won't snap the blade or the cutting edge, but at the same time I can get my weight that I want, and I can actually, like I want to do is if I need to, I can shave with it, I can profile with it, I can do whatever I want to.
Dude, if you do this, I want to know everything you're doing. I want to follow this because this sounds like the kind of thing I would find fascinating.
Yeah, it's the metal is, I like working with metal better than wood because wood splinters really suck, but the steel splinters are worse because you can't see them.
Yeah.
So it's a horse apiece, but I've been a machinist all my life, so I can do whatever I want to do. If somebody tells me that, hey, this is how we do things, I can throw it in a machine.
Hey, Dennis.
All right. I just want to say one thing. Bye, Dennis. I kind of wish you'd said more because you're an interesting guy.
No, you know what? I'm learning lots here. I just got to duck out there. Wife got home there, and I just got to go say hi to her. But I'm going to rewatch this for sure because I think I missed on a lot of really good information from Rooster and from Dauber there. So, yeah.
And, all right. And by the way, Dennis, I'm doing, I think I'll probably do Monday next week instead of Tuesday, but I don't think you're doing one at all because isn't Tuesday Christmas Eve?
It is. Yeah. I'm off for the next 2 weeks. So,
yeah. All right. Happy holidays.
Well, thanks, guys.
Dauber, Mark, Rooster. Good seeing you guys.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Take care, bud.
So I'm going to repost the link just in case someone else wants to take Dennis's spot.
See, I'm actually excited for Cornucopia because, like I said, I was going to get a few axes last year from Council Tools that I never ended up going back after we had to leave early because of a snowstorm and stuff. So I definitely want something bigger. Like I said, I had that cheap Trooper axe that I had for a while. Then I switched to Gransford Brooks small forest axe. But I love anything American made. So I'm excited for it.
Did you say you were at Cornucopia?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I have a table set up there.
I remember seeing it there.
Council.
Yep. What's that?
He said that he was there.
Yeah, the table.
That's what I thought. I thought I recognized you from last year too. So
yeah, I'm probably the hat.
Probably.
That's what I love it.
Why don't you guys throw your links in the chat so that we can, for these people to pick up your channel if you guys got channels.
Well, I have a link for Rooster in the show notes of this, but Rooster, it's the Axe Junkies channel. So if you have a different one, plop it there.
Okay.
Now, have you had any issues with your Gransford Brooks with your head at all yet?
Wait, you talking to me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the question because my sound glitched. What was it?
Your Gransford Brooks. Have you had any issues yet with your head?
No way.
Nothing yet.
No.
I said that's kind of the whole reason why I started off. You see a lot of people that start off that they get the Gransford Brooks and the history behind it as far as their head. But I noticed with mine, and I beat mine up quite a bit doing lots of tasks and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's just maybe I got the bad end of the axe, but I don't know if you can see there about how many chips I have on the end of this.
I'm going to solo you. Okay. Yeah, but that's. I mean, yeah, I see what you're doing. It's funny that you say that because I ended up with a really rough, a shark tooth kind of edge because I was doing that thing. Rooster is probably going to laugh at me for this, but anyways, where you lay the log down between your legs and go woof, and you take it and it. Well, I was doing that and I was having a grand old time, and then I just kind of missed and dug into the gravel, and kind of did this fudge kind of thing, because of the whole thing that I was talking about before, how I like to take off as little metal as possible. I maintain the edge so that I never have to take the stones or the file to it. And man, I was like, like kind of like, talk to me, baby, please talk to me. You're gonna make it.
Hey Tyler, if you look at all the nicks and scrapes that are in this thing. You look at the top, and I can still shave with this thing. So,
Well, that's the thing, right?
you look up here, or no, up on this top end here. There's a nick up here, but like Rooster was saying, is you want to take off. Once I start losing that angle, then I got to do some real work on here, and I don't want to do that. That takes time. So, and then I got to take it to work and everything else, and people go, "What are you bringing an axe in to work for?" And I got to tell them. So, I usually don't like to do that, but stropping, if you really do want to keep that edge nice and sharp, where you can do some really cool profiling. I mean, cutting, when you can cut meat with your axe, you can do things like you never thought you could do with a tool. A strop is a really nice way to finish that edge off, because what really happens is when you fine tool, if you look at it in a microscope, you take this edge and you bend it back and forth. It keeps doing this. So if you sharpen on this side, you're taking the burr to the other side. You sharpen it to this side, you take that burr back to the other side.
Well, that's where the strop comes into play, right?
That's right when the strop. And another cool thing that you guys can do is if you got blue jeans on, this works too. Is you just take your blue jeans and go like this and come up. That'll actually work.
Yeah, that's true.
What's nice with me is I've got grinders that most people never even seen of, because we've got CNC grinders. We have grinders to make carbide end mills, reamers, anything. So angled heads, it's all set up for the angle that I want. It's accurate right there. But I put it on a comparator and I've looked at it, and I can see that edge sitting there. Even with a strop, I can see that rate that is sitting there, and you can take your finger and you can feel it, or your fingernail. And that's what's nice about.
I do point everyone to Grace Martin's looking to buy first axe, most expecting to use it for felling dead standing trees, for firewood and shelter building, probably a maximum of 4 to 5 inches in diameter. Now, what for some reason I tried to show, there's a hidden, YouTube decided to hide Grace's next text note, but it says, "So I'm thinking a boy's axe or a small forest axe would be sufficient." Let's just throw that to you guys. I think that
you should feel
5-inch in diameter should be fine.
4 to 5 inches in diameter, a boy's axe, a small forest axe would be more than sufficient. However, standing dead, 4 to 5 inches in diameter, you're now going to bang on that with an axe. You stand a really good chance of snapping the top out, creating a widowmaker, and getting injured. You, in that situation, are way better off using a buck saw or a folding saw, a silky, something along those lines to fell that. If you want to buck it once it's on the ground with an axe, by all means do so. Split it with an axe, but felling a 4 to 5 inch diameter standing dead tree with an axe, you are asking to get hurt.
I would like to say that I agree with you, and I wanted to add something else that was less deadly, is that this axe does really well on greenwood. I'm not sure if a standing deadwood, I it tends to be a little harder than greenwood.
Yep.
And I think that if I was to chop standing deadwood, I would want something with less of a with a more is that obtuse? More like that?
Yeah. Obtuse. Yeah, obtuse would be flatter and acute would be sharper.
I'm translating in my head here. So yeah, I would want something with a slightly more obtuse angle. But I kind of agree that you don't want to standing deadwood. I'm always really careful around, and because it's what I'm looking for firewood, I'm just really careful all the time. But I agree that I would probably use a saw, because for some reason I have tools on my desk. I use the Silky for everything. I know a lot of people really love the Tobacco
Locklander.
Because you can pretty much push as well as pull, whereas on this thing, if you push, you're going to snap something. Okay, so if you're not used to a Japanese saw, something to be wary of. But for a 4 to 5 inch tree, that'll do you great. For a 4 to 5 inch tree, I think you can do it with something like this. This is the 170.
Yeah,
70.
I see Grace Martin said that her son suggested, or his son suggested, a silky saw instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely saw that tree.
I think just show them the when you concoct that silky, because that actually makes it. There's 2 stages to that silky.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And you can actually cock it. Yeah.
And then there's that.
Yep.
So you got 2 different angles you can work with. I have yet to really get along with this angle, but I see why they do it, and the theory makes sense, even though my use doesn't really.
You got to use it upside down, buddy.
Holy shift! The family show. I didn't even. Man, I feel stupid now.
There's $100 you owe me right there.
Wow. Shite. Is that $100 US? I think $100 US, I'm bankrupt. Oh crap, dude! I just embarrassed myself on YouTube. Look at that. Of course, it's for
upside down.
I may have to go take a powder, guys, because man, I feel dumb now.
That's what a double bit axe is for too. You can chop upside down with the one edge.
That's for making, like, if you're doing some cuts and stuff, like if you're making your shelters and stuff, you can cock it like that, and then you can just
exactly. Oh man, I love this saw so much now. I hadn't even thought of that. Wow.
Rooster, any input from you on felling the 4 to 6 inch dead tree?
Yeah, I would agree that that can be dangerous depending on how old, how long it's been dead, and obviously species too. I mean, there's a lot of conifers that are 4 or 5 inches diameter that you're really not going to get anything falling out of that tree that's kind of hurt you. But if you're talking about like a rock, like a red elm, or like a dead maple, some of those the tops will snap off, and it doesn't take much to hurt yourself. So yeah, I would say if nothing else, get a work crew together. Invite somebody who's got a chainsaw. I'm not opposed to using other tools to make life easier. Obviously, the enjoyment brought to a lot of us by using axes is fine, but there's plenty of opportunities once that thing is on the ground to make large firewood into small firewood.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have a chainsaw, so for me, it's not. I would like to get one. Here's what I want. And after this, I want to say something that I wanted to say before, but it kind of got lost. I would like a chainsaw that's big enough that I can use one of those Alaskan chainsaw mills if I want to. You know that thing that helps you sort of, like, it's a chainsaw-based wood mill? Like, obviously, you're not doing real full-on milling, but for some of the stuff that I would like to do, it's good enough. So I would need something with a fairly long bar. Yeah.
You're talking definitely professional grades in there.
Sorry, what?
You 28, 36 inch bar?
It's got to be something fairly long. Like, I can't do it with a 14-inch bar, but like, I would like to have a chainsaw at some point in the mid future. It's hard to budget for. I want a chainsaw. I want a canoe. I want Mila Kunis. I mean, it's hard to budget for everything. But the other thing I wanted to say, hello to S.A. McGibbon. Welcome to the live stream. We're overtime right now. We'll go to 23:15, okay, guys? Just to sort of enjoy this.
We have Drop Forge Survival in here. He's a really good buddy of mine.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. Hi to Drop Forge Survival. Welcome to the live stream.
I'm telling you, Jeff, you need to get these.
What is that? Oh, yeah, I got
Boreal 20.
Yeah, I got one of those. I have one of those.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
It's a
I thought you did.
I have 3 Canadian buck saws, all of which will be in like a buck saw roundup video that I was going to make in fall, but I will now make later. But about axes, and something that Mark said kind of made me twig on this. What I would like to see, everyone's seen a Hudson's Bay axe, right? I don't have one yet, but I'm hoping to change that. What I would like is someone to build a clone of the original, was it Collins? Made the original Hudson Bay with that little notch, kind of the Rhineland/Montreal notch, but had that real narrow. Like if you looked at it from the top, right? If you looked at it like this, hello camera. If you looked at it like that, it was real narrow. Like what was that? A 20-something. 28.5 or something. I don't quite remember what the number was, but man, it was like narrow. And everyone who's doing one modern who's doing one way thicker, like the Wetterlings, kind of a wedge-like shape. Well, Wetterlings are all kind of wedgy, but it's like everyone who's making one now is making it way thicker than the original Collins. And I would like, because I don't think I haven't found a Collins one.
I have one.
You do?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
okay then. But I would like one because I think that's the Hudson's Bay that I would like to try out the most.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got a thicker one. Everyone's got a slightly different take on it, different length, different blah, blah, blah. But I don't have a Collins, first of all, so I would like...
Rooster's probably got 3 of them.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yes, just send me the drawing of it.
Right.
It's not a bad idea. But you know, it's like
So
I would like to see someone make that Hudson's Bay.
Well, let me interject a little bit. So that's a very narrow and it's a very thin blade.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that would use an axe like that they're not chopping with it. They're splitting with it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the number is. Let's say it's 80% or greater people that are buying a modern or even a vintage Hudson Bay like that you're talking about are then they're trying to split firewood at camp with it. And they end up getting that blade stuck, and then that leverage on that handle fails at the connection at the eye because the eye is so short.
Yep.
So if anything, you'd probably want a Hudson Bay that was more built like a splitter, kind of like the old Snow and Neely did for LL Bean back in the 20s and 30s or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost have to look at it. How is this axe going to be used by the public, and make it so that it's one, it's efficient, and two, that it doesn't fail under those circumstances.
Yeah, and
so by having a thin blade is just going to get stuck all the time.
Yeah, and the Wetterlings is much more wedge shaped, like the.
Actually, he's got a point because I got the East Wing, and that's full steel all the way through. And when I go to split wood with that, it sucks because it's always getting stuck in a log.
Yeah, because for splitting, you want something that's much more
wider. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because by the time you swing that, and you get that energy built up into that inertial swing, as that axe hits that round, if you're splitting around, all that energy is put into driving that blade into the wood. And by the time you get to the point where now you've used up all that energy, the blade isn't thick enough to separate the wood. Right. So all you're doing is you're just driving it into the wood. You're not actually creating any wedge action, I'll call it, to push that wood apart from each other.
It's a similar problem I have with this sometimes, right? Like I've got some Wetterlings forest axes. I've got 2 of them. I went into that in an earlier video of mine. And I find that my Wetterlings, because the Wetterlings style is much more wedgy than the Gransfors general style, obviously not including splitting axes and mauls. My Wetterlings across the board work better as splitters than my Gransfors do.
And, so I know
what you're saying.
I know they get bashed on, but if you look at the Fisker splitting axe, not a splitting maul, but the splitting axe, it has the wings on the side of the cheeks to force that to force the wood fibers apart and split. It does a very, very good job of it. I mean, it does exactly what it's designed to. I get it's a fiberglass handle or glass reinforced nylon handle, but it does what it's designed to do. And when you get a thinner axe like the Hudson's Bay, it does not have that force to split those wood fibers apart and split that log, just like Rooster was saying, and they get stuck.
I actually got a splitting maul. It has a double wedges on each side of the maul, and it does exactly what you just said.
Yep.
It's a heavy beast to whip around, but it does split wood really well.
Yep. Did we lose Jess?
I think he must have fell over.
No, he's got a little one at home. Maybe he had to go.
Yeah, I think he muted his video or whatever there. So,
you know what, Tyler? Ever since I've been trying to get this thing to spark, I cannot get this Mora to throw a spark.
Well, what does your edge look like?
I'm not using the edge. I'm using the spine, and I just file it to a sharp edge.
What does your spine look like?
Yeah, see, it's cheap.
Yeah, like I said, I've been trying to get you.
Well, that was funny.
I've been trying to get Jess, because like I said, Chris is coming up from Texas to go to that Canoecopia again this year. I know Dennis is coming down. I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to get Sty and Jess all to come down. Like I said, we're gonna be meeting up.
Come down. That's in my state.
13th, 15th.
Isn't that in my state? It's in Madison, right?
Yeah, it's in Madison again.
That's my state.
Yep.
Like I said, I already messaged Joe Robinette, asked him if he was coming down.
I could see him.
He said he's like 90% sure he's going to be coming down again. I don't think he's doing any speeches like he did last year. So,
March 13th.
it's going to be fun time.
Oh, I can't do that. I cannot do that because because that is exactly in St. Patrick's week.
Yeah, if you want to hop up here, do you have StreamYard?
Hold on, I'll just post the link. You can just click on the wink. You can just click on the link. Okay, boom. Yeah, I can't go because that's St. Patrick's week, which means that I'm playing and making mega dollars that week. For St. Patrick's Day in Montreal, it's essentially like 6 days. And I cannot take those days off.
That's funny.
I wouldn't go for the canoeing, but I think I would go just to see, your table, Rooster, and some of the other things that are up there for knives, bushcraft knives, stuff like that.
But you guys know how, you guys who've been watching me for a while know how I keep, like every year, saying, man, I got to see another YouTuber this year. I got to travel and do a little this year. Well, for 2020, I'm actually going to meet another YouTuber and do, unfortunately, just a weekend of canoe camping. So I'm actually starting to travel for this thing. So even though I can't do Canoecopia this year, I want to see you guys. I want to see some of you guys in person. I'm tired of only seeing people on screen, So I will find a way to either make it to an Axe Junkies meetup if it's close enough to Canada or something,
Well, when is the next one?
See, the thing of it is, you're in Montreal. You got to come halfway through Canada.
Yeah.
And then you're real close.
Yeah.
What I'd rather do, actually, Mark, is because flying from Canada costs a mint, okay? A mint. I used to have a girlfriend in the Bronx, which is in...
Does your wife know?
No, this is before her. In fact, it's funny how... anyways, I'm not going to get into that. But I used to have this girl in the Bronx. And I wanted to take her out to Vancouver to meet my dad one year because I kind of thought we were going to be more serious than I ended up being. So I flew to Montreal and it cost me $1 bazillion. She flew JetBlue to Seattle, which cost her way under half of what it cost me. And then my dad and I just drove down to Seattle, picked her up, and drove back. So I got a good half hour of seeing Seattle and thinking it's a really nice town, and then coming back. But so if I was to head to say I was going to visit Mark because he's got beautiful machinery and he could make me stuff, I would go down to Plattsburgh or something and take JetBlue, because then I could afford to do it.
I think right now it only costs, like, if I wanted to, which I never would because I don't like big cities, but for me to go to Vegas is like $60.
Okay, well, I'll say one thing: $60.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Because we went to Vegas recently, and I will tell you something. That was an expensive trip because it costs a whole lot more than $60 to fly to Vegas from Montreal.
Yeah, it's
Like massively more. Flying from Canada bites my butt.
because they're using Canadian Air.
Did we fly Air Canada? Yeah, we did.
See, that's why.
But even if I was to fly something like Delta or whatever, flying from Canada is expensive because you just get all these charges laid on you, you know?
It cost me $302 to fly from Wisconsin to Arizona round trip.
Wow.
Hey, talking about meetups real quick, because we're now at 2 hours and 16 minutes.
But I'm having a ball.
Rooster,
He's
Would-
a
Yes, sir.
influence.
would you consider coming to Pennsylvania next September for Outvine?
Oh,
what is that?
gathering. It's a bushcraft
really?
gathering. They have about 115 to 130 people in attendance on average. They have a lot of different vendors come in. Some of them sell stuff. Some of them just do demonstrations. Are you familiar with blade sports at all?
I've heard of them.
Yep.
Okay, so 2018 world champion Dwayne Unger. Dwayne's there. Cold Cracker Bushcraft is there. The Flying Axe
Sure.
is there.
I know him.
Yeah, so they have a lot of different things that they do there. Stephen Kinney, Survival One and the Skinny, is there doing primitive trapping. It's a really good time. Just wondered if it's something you'd come to, or if that's a little further than what you normally travel.
So it'd be interesting to see if we could set up an area within that thing for the Axe Junkies and have a little mini Axe Junkie meet at that event. Then all the other people at the event can come and check out, our area. And a lot of guys bring their collections and stuff to buy, sell, trade. Then we get more than just me. I mean, I'd rather get a bunch of guys together than just, if I'm going to make a trip, let's make it a party.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk to the coordinator.
Before you go any further, Paul,
Yeah.
I'm in another browser window and I'm trying to get the link, but I can't bloody remember how to spell it.
UITWAA. No, WAIIEN. But anyway, I'm going to talk to the individual that kind of coordinates it, sets it up, Art, and see if he would be willing to do a trade blanket this year. If you sell, you're going to have to be there as a vendor. I don't know how that works, but just straight up trade blanket. I want to see if that's something he'd be willing to do this year.
And Craig, I just put a link at the bottom. It's pagathering.com, which
There it is.
doesn't make sense as a URL compared to Outfine. But anyways,
Okay.
if I'd known that, I wouldn't have just spent 5 minutes typing all, versions.
Way in.
Yeah.
Way in.
Yeah. So
Tyler, is your buddy coming in here, or is he?
oh Jesus, sorry, dude.
He's probably sitting in the basement.
Oh, there he is. There he is. I was just like, hey, Scotch. Sorry. How's it going, Drop Force?
Hey.
There he is. I figured he should have been in here by now. I'm wondering if you're sleeping or what, Jess.
Yeah, I was totally asleep. Hold on. I don't hear him though. Does anyone else hear him?
Nope.
Can we hear you?
I just soloed him.
Yeah.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear anybody else? Did you have his mic?
He's muted. He's muted. No, he's not muted.
Still can't hear you, buddy.
Nope. No volume.
I
Drop forged. while you're
No
working that
volume.
Wonderful StreamYard.
Yeah, StreamYard's fun. It's great. Yeah, but the thing is, StreamYard is so much better than the Google Hangouts. Did I just hear? Dropforge is having trouble. Man, I want to hear this guy.
He's like, dang it.
Dang, burn it. No, it's not your headphones.
It's probably not your equipment. It's probably StreamYard. You're probably going to have to pass out and come back in.
He's having problems with his camera. Oh, his phone. Is he using phone?
I'm using a phone.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
I can't hear him. What are you talking about?
Did he?
All right, see you, Simo.
That
Are
was,
you on your phone?
See you, Simone.
that was Rooster that said he's using his phone.
Yeah, I'm using my phone. I can.
I'm on-
I don't hear him yet.
Phone.
I don't
Let's
hear him either.
see.
Oh, I hear something. Something.
Oh,
Bell.
it was me.
That was the bell.
That wasn't the bell. For God's sakes, that wasn't the bell.
Okay, we're done. See you guys.
Hey, thanks for joining.
No.
I'm just gonna try. I'll call him real quick and see if he's using his phone.
Sure.
Also
Okay.
good to see you, buddy.
Don't leave. I'm not leaving. I'm not going to remove him from the stream
Are you
because
using your phone for that?
Yeah, I'm using the iPhone. Yeah.
Try going back in and seeing if that works. Because sometimes when you go in, it doesn't. I don't know.
But yeah,
Yeah,
Rooster.
Tyler resets it.
It said the cell phone is critical, so I don't know.
Tyler.
There we go.
Oh, he muted me.
No, I muted him.
Oh,
All right, I'll unmute him.
Tyler, tell him not to use Firefox or Safari. He's got to use Google.
Yeah, he's got to use Chrome.
He's using his phone.
Right, you have to go to Chrome.
He's got to download
Okay.
Chrome. But yeah, Craig, what I was going to say is that I keep.
Can you guys hear me now?
Paul
at
has
all?
been on my arse. Yes.
No,
I
there you
don't
go.
hear you guys at all.
Hey, there you are.
That's weird.
What?
We hear you though.
We can hear you.
We hear you. Oh, boom! There he goes. What I was going to say, Craig, is that Outdoor Paul has been on my arse about getting an Outvine to the show. For a long time now, and I would really love to check it out either in 2020 or 2021. So if you go to that show one year, I could try to go to that show.
Yes.
Hmm?
Is he in the basement right now?
Who? Your buddy?
Yeah.
He left. I think he's probably restarting his stuff. I'm keeping an eye down below so that I can get him on as soon as he reappears, though. Excuse me.
Hey, Jess, did you ever meet Ed?
I haven't met anyone, dude. I'm in Montreal.
No, the monkey next to me, Ed.
What?
No,
Ed who?
no, I haven't met you. By the way, why the hell is that monkey on there?
That's my mascot for my channel. That's Ed.
That Ed is the mascot for your channel. Hold on, let me solo you so that everyone can see the monkey. The gorilla. No, that's not a gorilla. What is that? It's an ape of some sort. What's with the ape, dude?
It's a silverback.
No, be too small for a silverback.
Orangutan? No, he's not orange.
No, he's not an orangutan. But why do you have a like? I see Ed. Okay, hi Ed. And then I see like a what the hell's an Arc de Triomphe in English? An Arc of Triumph?
There you go.
Drop forward. Speak.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, there we go. All right, we're working.
Awesome.
I had to do the whole Windows 98 thing and like turn it off, turn it back on. So
Sweet. Okay.
I think we just jumped the shark, guys.
Did you power cycle? Have you power cycled?
Did you power cycle the computer now?
I did not. It was not a cold start. No.
Question: why the hell did Rooster say we jumped the shark? We didn't jump the shark. We don't have an ape.
Yeah, we do. I can bring him back up.
I need one of those. Maybe not an ape. I should have like something like an orca
Jeff,
or a penguin.
Jeff, you got enough monkeys on your channel.
Hey now.
I think we're losing viewers, guys.
Yeah, but we're having a great time.
Now we have a
shoot,
celebrity
if I
now.
would have known about it, I could have blasted this out on my channel earlier. But I got a warning after I woke up from my cold nap, my flu nap. So.
Are you? Do you go?
Yeah, I was trying to get a hold of you earlier because I've been telling you I've been having issues with my camera. So I was thinking about getting what you got, but I don't know.
Oh, my camcorder?
Yeah, your camcorder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Canon XA50.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. And I was trying to tell Jess about it too. I was trying to explain to him about the two memory cards that you can use to shoot your footage with, and it records on both.
Yes, it is absolutely holy crap. I can't even tell you how many times I've almost completely lost footage.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is that I use an ADD. Every time I say that, it sounds like ADD, but shut up, Jesse. Only one memory card slot, which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
because I've lost footage before.
I've lost. We did a 3-day bushcraft trip in a national forest when we were with Four Directions Bushcraft in Missouri, and I had about 52 files on my GoPro Hero 7 of all the action footage, mouth mount, head mount, all the fun stuff, anything that anyone have actually would have wanted to see. For the entire 3 days was all gone. All the fishing footage, hiking, discovering plants, like the POV stuff, it was all gone. And yeah, that was not a good time. So now I bring 2 GoPros with me every time I go somewhere.
Here's the thing, and I do want to get back into axes in a second, but I will say that as someone who went to film school back when cutting and splicing included a razor blade and Scotch tape, I find the capability of losing everything in a microsecond to be endlessly stressful.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. What I typically do is I can't actually do anything long. If I'm disciplined, I can't do anything more than like a 14-day trip anymore because I have all of my SD cards numbered, but I have like day 1 through day 14. But then I have a backup SD card that doesn't get touched. That is like day 1 backup. So if anything just fails, I can just drop in the SD card, and I've only lost maybe, I don't know, a couple hours worth of footage. But I have a way to try to recover that. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking. When I was just filming with my phone, which I film on now, it's not too bad. Like typically, it's backed up to the cloud. I don't really lose anything. But now that I'm messing around with SD cards and all this crap, it's super scary because I buy the most expensive stuff, and it's really expensive. I have like $2,000 in SD cards right now, and it's like freaking me out. So,
but I find that it's safer to shoot on your phone.
Oh yeah, it's way safer. Way safer. Oh yeah. Hell yeah, I'd rather film on my phone if I could, but I can't get away with like zooming in like 250 yards across the field and see a possum that I was praying was a hog. You know. So.
See, Tyler, I like that one that you had that was 10-mile zoom, but that'd be kind of nice to have.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, since we went over the specs on that, I want to, but like I said, for the last 4 videos I've done, I get maybe 5 minutes out of my Nikon before my shutter freezes up. Nothing wants to work. So like I said, I was looking at that new Canon.
Oh, that Canon's amazing. I was filming. We were in the hunting blind from 6 p.m. This is my most recent trip that hasn't aired yet because I've been sick and I've been too big of a pansy to push the edit buttons and start editing. But yeah, as long as you keep feeding that thing a battery, you pop a battery in. It's just hotspot batteries. So all I gotta do is I don't even have to turn it off. It has like a 10-second delay. If I can swap it, yeah, very quickly.
Oh, crap. What did you say that model was?
The XA50, a Canon.
Canon XA50.
Not to mention it has infrared, which is really sweet. So as long as you go on Amazon and you buy one of those infrared flashlights that you use dude, it's super sick. Like I can zoom in on that thing 30 times. I was literally seeing like possum eyeballs from like 100 yards out. It was nasty.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that we got to mention about your camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the price.
Yeah. It took me about 6 months to buy it, to be fair.
I'll tell you something. That price, because I'm in Canada, right? So we're talking at $3,000.
Oh yeah, you're looking at about probably 3,200 Canadian.
The cheapest I'm seeing it on Amazon is $29.49.
You're getting ripped off, buddy.
Oh, that's enough.
You know, I just think it's a shame that Simone's not here to see us get off track.
Yeah. Oh, okay, you're right. You're right.
So you say we were talking about, you guys were talking about axes?
Yes, 1927.
Yes.
Yeah, trying to.
So this is a new axe. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's all super dark.
Oh,
Something
I
I'm
guess
screwing around with.
Not much of it there. What the hell? How come it's got holes in it? What? What is that?
So this is actually a brand new. I'm very blessed to be the only person in the U.S. with it right now. It's going to be a Kickstarter. It's actually called the Axis tool. It's supposed to be a knife and an axe actually, but the catch is I'll show it to you, not hafted. So this is what it looks like. The guy sent me two. He was really cool about it. So
okay.
But it's designed where it can be like, it can be like a normal like light duty bush tool if you really want to get super crafty with it. But you can jump back here and throw.
Wait, stop. I'm going to solo here so that everyone can see that, because now I see what the point of all the holes is.
Yeah. So this right here, actually, I thought was pretty stupid. This thing was like, what is this? This is kind of dumb. But when I hafted it on the pole that I was goofing around with, the triggers, he calls them the forward and the reverse trigger. That's what he calls it. But it basically creates stability and locking points. So when you actually are wedging down into the wood, it creates two stability points. And this thing is not fucking going. This is not going anywhere.
I got a question about that.
Like locked in really tight.
Is that a haft that you created, or is that a haft that it comes with?
No. I definitely had to take this off and and use the tool and everything and split the wood and all that good stuff.
Okay, so it doesn't come with a haft; it just sort of comes with
no
itself. Okay, interesting.
But it's designed to kind of be. It's supposed to be basically a knife, but now keep in mind it's 3/8 of an inch thick, so this thing is a beast. Yeah. But it's so it can match up with something like your council tool, and it's honestly, other than the hammer end, it's not too dissimilar in size, actually. Oop, there you go.
Right, it's more sort of axe profile than knife profile. In some ways.
Yeah, it's just under a pound. It's like 14 ounces for the head, which is the most substantial survival axe that I ever have the privilege to mess with. I've messed with things like the Farson tool, the CRKT Persevere, and some of those other rinky-dinky ones, even the Glen Collector models.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them were heavy enough. I felt like I was just taking like a skinning knife and kind of like beating her. I felt like I was chopping with a toothpick. They were.
Is that the pack axe, the council tool? No, the other one. You get the council tool. Is that the pack axe?
Yeah. I have the Woodcraft, the entire line. I've got the Flying Fox, the 16. This is the 19. Then I have the 24. So
Jesus, dude, you got some nice stuff.
Well, I actually see a lot of people were complaining about the heads, the hafting, the mounting on, like, if you go on Amazon. Council Tools actually has a pretty bad rap right now. I don't know why, for the actual mounting on the head. People are kind of bitching and complaining a little bit, but I go through a company called Whiskey River Trading Company, and they actually build handles and will actually mount them for you. And I buy them from them. And I mean, there's like there's no gaps at all. Like this thing is like really nice. So,
I mean, I think, Craig, this is a straight up council tool, right? Craig?
I can hear you. I say it again.
That's just a straight up council tool, right? That's just like, that's from the company, right?
Yeah, that's the Camp Carver, right?
Yeah. And
dude, I love that thing. For 16 inches, it is the best. Absolutely the best. It's the greatest, I tell you. Oh, yeah. I love their stuff.
It's absolutely beautiful.
So I heard someone talking about in the comments. I heard it right before I took a shower. I took a shower and came in.
Okay, fair enough.
I had to get the sleep off of me. It's not good. Someone was saying they wanted an axe to fell a tree. I'm pretty sure you guys already put the whole thing to bed. It was like a whole bunch of y'all in the
Well, they were talking about, and hold on, I'm just scrolling back to see. We got a lot of comments from Chaucer Foe, by the way. Oh, he's talking about.
Oh yeah,
Chaucer's my man. He's awesome. I love that guy.
It's funny. I didn't know him before, but he very recently came to my channel via Tyler.
He knows more YouTubers than I do. Yeah,
he came from my channel because he came from Chris's channel.
Well, he's got some. He very often says some interesting stuff. So I'm glad to have him.
He's very knowledgeable when it comes to a lot of things.
So
we
I
chat a lot.
gotta say thanks to Chris.
I
because
can't tell if he's a 19-year-old with that just loves Googling everything, or he's like 75 years old and knows more than we'll ever. He's forgotten more than we'll ever know. So,
But I want to get back to what you were saying. But I think Mark just said something, and we sort of chatted right over him. So, Mark, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna tell him thank you because he must have came from his channel and came to Tyler's channel and he came over to my channel. So
Sweet.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That'll win, right?
Yeah.
Scrolling back, someone asked, oh, piss, I forgot.
Yeah, he's actually on your live. He hasn't even been on my channel yet, and he's already on your channel. What the hell? What the hell, Chris?
But, I mean, he's sort of got a lot to say. Got a lot to say. Him and Damis, by the way, Damis85 came to me via you. But
Okay.
this is what to say. It's on a pound cake. I totally forgot what I wanted to say.
We were talking about cutting down a 4 to 6 inch tree with an axe.
Exactly. I was going
Yeah.
to say that 4 to 6 inch tree that was being asked about, but it's standing deadwood. So we sort of said, you might want to use a saw on that so you don't like widowmaker yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I would definitely recommend anybody because I'm not old, but I'm getting there. I feel it. I'm feeling the dad thing. For reference, I have teenage boys, so I'm a little older
you
than
have
I look.
teenage boys. How old are you?
Yeah. 14 and 15. They're going to be driving next year, which is totally scary.
And how old are you?
34.
Okay, let me just say something here because I got an 8-year-old and I got an 11-month-old and I'm 47. So when you say you're getting old, I say fun.
I'm feeling the dad. I'm feeling the dad vibe. That's all I can tell you. But I wasn't feeling him a few years back, but it's okay.
you're doing pretty good for being 47. I don't see too much gray hair up there.
That's because I shave it all off.
I was like, he like trimmed the verge, man. He can't see none of that. He's like,
Wait, what?
he's got to be able to get into the bars and hit on the college girls still. He's gotta.
Yeah, are you kidding? Because we keep the same age and I keep getting older. So sad. And yet so fun.
But no, yeah, I would have actually. I didn't want to step on any toes, but I would have definitely, if that question didn't get answered. I don't know how it wouldn't have been answered in 25 minutes. But yeah, I would have like, no, get a saw. I was like, don't do that. I'm like 2 minutes. I can fell like 7 trees, get rid of them. Then I can take an axe and debranch them. That'll be really fast.
Which is pretty much what I think Craig had said, because
Probably, yeah.
if it's standing deadwood and you start going boom, 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 it's like, that's
Yeah,
not-
no, it's not fun.
Craig, were you the one who said that?
Yes, that's right.
You guys are breaking up in my ear, so I'm struggling to follow the conversation right now. Sorry.
Same
about
here.
Craig is having some issues, which sucks because man, he knows everything.
I'm getting a lot of garbled stuff too.
Are you?
Yep.
What's going on with my life?
Yeah, I just think that I think it's because we're trying to mix so many streams together into one. It makes sense that
Yeah,
the technology maybe not be trying to keep
Yeah, I
up
was like,
with us.
you can't mix 8 streams in one toilet. It doesn't work so well.
Actually, we just did a test and we took 2 different panels and hooked them together, and it works really well.
How did you
We
do that?
did what? How many people? 12 people? 12 or something like that?
That one wasn't so good, but then we did a test in private where we took my buddy Merle he had some people on his channel, and then I had some on mine, and I called in Faith and Sty and everybody else. So we had 6 people on 2 different channels on Streamyard at the same time.
How the hell?
That's awesome.
Yeah, we did some first ever seen on YouTube stuff.
It's all about your technology. That's how that works.
But the reason I wanted to bring Rooster back in was because he had said essentially the same thing you said. Is that for like standing deadwood, the last thing you want to do is going boom, boom, boom at the bottom, right? You want to take it down with the saw. Whoop, Tyler would just buzz off on
The
him.
best thing
I'm still here.
Okay.
The best thing that you can do is a silky saw, just like I showed you, is the amazing thing to have in your pocket. And if you've got the Raven pants, it has a side pocket that'll fit right into the Raven pants. You won't even know what's there.
What are Raven pants?
Amen. They know that silky pocket boy is nasty.
Yeah.
A little guy, that thing will beast out a log the size of itself. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make a katana boy, by the way. You see, here's the thing. I got this, and I got 3 buck saws, okay? 3 21-inch buck saws. Is it the Katana Boy, the really long one? That's way too expensive.
Katana.
Yeah, no, yeah, I have the Katana Boy 120. I have the 19-inch and the 650.
Do you?
Mhm.
Jesus, dude.
I don't use them because they're unrealistic. They're too big to bring unless you were gonna build a cabin, like realistically.
Okay, I'll tell you why you want them. Or I'll tell you why that I wish I had one. Is that you can use the entire there he goes. You can use the entire blade instead of. Well, let me think about that.
You're gonna see his the one has got an angle. Actually the blade is arched out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can hook. You can actually hook branches and it's arched. It's
Okay. Because it seems to me that it would be a better axe.
Look at that.
Saw solution than my. Oh yeah, but that's not the Katana Boy. That's the.
No. This is the Zoom Bat.
Yes.
I like this one because it's like $60 on for $59. I get a 15-inch blade, and I get almost the Katana Boy for half the money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Or you can get the big boy too. Either way, either one. It depends on your flavor. If you want to feel like you're about to go samurai wielding and zombie attack, you get this one. If you want to be a normal human, you get the big boy. So.
Fair point. Open that big boy. And how long is that?
14.1, I believe, or 14.2.
How about the 170? Right, the Pock Boy 170.
Yeah.
And I would love to have a slightly longer version of this because this is my favorite saw. Even though I've got some very, very nice buck saws, this is my favorite saw.
I was using this one with Zachary Fowler in the 30-day survival challenge back last year, and this thing is a champion. This thing built literally everything. This and an axe did basically everything. That and some bank line. You get some bank line, you're good. You can build anything. You can build a bridge with a bank line.
Somebody was asking about what the Raven pants are. Was that you, Jess?
Me, because what Raven? What?
You don't know what the Ravens are?
No.
Oh, the fall Raven pants.
The fall Raven pants.
The super tactical bushcrafty like armored pants.
I didn't know. Okay, so when you said Raven, I didn't make the connection with Gel Raven because I've got the Vita Pros, which I love.
They got a side, like mine have a side pocket that the silky goes right into, or your axe. You can open up the bottom pocket, and the handle will go right through, and you can actually hang on to your axe that way too.
Yeah, using the Vita Pros just like me then, right? Yeah, that's probably my favorite apparel. Sorry,
apparel.
For those of you who don't know, I live in French Canada, so I'm always translating in my head before I speak, no matter which language I speak. Apparel. Thank you. Yes.
Wow. Apparel. What the hell? Okay, I wasn't even tracking. I was just like, this tuned out.
No Raven is. Man, I love their stuff. But yeah, I have the same pants as you, and I slip this down into that pocket.
Yeah, they're really.
Yeah,
the only thing I don't like about fall Raven is there's no back pockets. If they would put back pockets on there, that'd be the key.
Yeah, a lot of people make fun of me because I wear $16 shorts in all my videos.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, you need to put pants on. And I was like, pants are for quitters. That's all it's for. No, the thing is if I rip them and destroy them, I lost $16 pair of pants. I didn't lose a $200 pair of pants.
Shorts, pants are for quitters.
And but to be fair, I live in South Texas, so there's literally no weather that I can deal with. I'm 2 hours from the Mexican border, and everybody tries to project Wisconsin, Canada, Montana, Idaho. They try to project their like local environments to what I'm facing, and I'm like, I've seen snow like once a decade, dude. Like I don't need to wear a parka.
Drop foraged. By the way, what the hell's your actual name?
Chris,
hey, let me tell you something. Because I live in Montreal where it hits like -40 on occasion.
That's windy weather.
-40 is where Fahrenheit and Canadian meet, by the way. But in 97, I think it was, I wore shorts 362 days because there were some weddings. Because I'm convinced that if you got your trunk nice and warm, everything else is kind of optional. Here's the deal. I'm not in my 20s anymore, so I can't do that anymore.
But
I'll tell you, like you can wear shorts in almost any weather.
Yeah, I was like, I wear. People think it's funny because I'll wear. I have my what are they called? My Woody Maxes, my muck boots, my insulated muck boots for the wintertime. I wear those so I can actually go into the creek because I don't want to step into the creek in like 50-degree weather and go barefoot. That would freeze my toes off. But I can go down to the water. I can handle the muck, the mud, the rocks, thorns, cactus. I can handle everything and still wear shorts. And I'm insulated all the way up to my knees. And for me, if I can keep my hands, my head, and my feet warm, I'm good. Everything else is okay.
Tyler, were
like,
you talking about muck boots earlier? Like yesterday or something?
Yeah, we were talking about mucks and lacrosse boots yesterday on the Bushcraft podcast.
Because I've got this thing. If two people in 2 days mention a brand name or something, I gotta like take it more seriously.
Well, I mean,
So,
to be fair, Tyler, we talk on the phone like 5 times a week, so I was like, I infect him with all my ideas, whether they're good or bad or not. So,
and then I just kind of spread it out across the smaller YouTubers out here. I'm kind of their next god. But no, muck boots, like I said, I use muck boots for work because I do construction, and I'm working out here in negative 10 to 15 degree weather, and I swear by them because they're just awesome boots.
Wait,
It's
does that minus in like
right now. 25 right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump out here.
All right, see you later, Paul.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys. Thanks for having me, Jess.
Have a good one, man.
Yep.
See you guys. See you, Rooster.
I think. All right.
See ya.
So Tyler, if I pull you
Follow
down in
Paul's
Jan-
lead, guys. I need to get up in the morning and be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So I appreciate being a part of this panel, and nice seeing you guys on here. And let's do this again sometime, okay?
Thanks for being in the
in Wisconsin.
Thanks for being part of the inaugural panel discussion. I'm pretty sure we'll have you on again at some point. I've got some plans.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Just let me know, and I'm willing to participate. Appreciate you guys.
Great having you on. All right.
All right, take care, guys. Peace out.
So Tyler, next in January and February is when we hit the deadly 40, 50 below weather, where we'll have months at a time, and you're looking at 50, 60, 70 inches of snow. So if you're going to come up for your extreme camping, that's when you want to do it. And I mean, we can go over to the bushcraft camp and we can do it there. So we have the huts and everything like that ready, or we can go into 1,000-acre federal land where we can do what we want.
Well, see, the thing is, like you were saying, though, out there the food is scarce.
That's the thing. I mean, that's what I keep telling you. You can't do this no food thing because it's not going to work.
Everybody stop for a second. I want to check on something that Mark just said. You said federal land.
Yep.
Because, okay, in Canada, we have something called crown land, which is land owned by the government. To hell with you, Scotch. Which is land owned by the government, which when the campers and canoeists and hunters stop using it, they can kind of get away with selling to like oil companies.
No, you have state land here and you have federal land, and they're all under reserves. So like if we have you can have the natural forestry come in and clean up and stuff like that on federal land, but state land belongs to that state. So like in Wisconsin, 37% of the land in Wisconsin is state owned. And then we have, I think it's like 40% is federally owned, and then the rest is private.
Okay, but like the question I have is, because I can walk into crown land.
Hang on a second, I gotta get my dogs in.
But I'm asking you a question.
yeah, well, see, what I'm used to is either it's like public.
I just want to say one thing first. I'm right back at like the high school dances, right? Hey, baby. Okay. All right.
There was I'm used to private way. Well, see, here in Texas, because that's the only reference point I really actually have. Is with either private property or public land, and there's a lot of laws and certain things we can't do on public land, like for hunting and trapping and fishing, that we can 100% have like free reign over it on private property because it's at the owner's discretion, as long as it's legal and you have your hunting licenses and permits, and you can kind of do whatever you want.
Now,
So,
does that change by state?
Usually, yeah. Usually here in the U.S. it does. Like in Utah, I was up there doing kind of a mountain trek with my buddy Mikhail from Imberlit Stoves, the guy who invented like the fire ant and the flat packing stove, the guy who originally did that.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with Mike Wood. He's the guy who invented the Viper Shark, but he's actually more known for his wild edibles books that he's made up there. Anyway, it was all public land up there, and we were able to go fishing without a license, and that was something that I wasn't used to, and I was like freaking out because I could just cast a pole in the water, catch fish, gut it, and eat it right on the bank. And I was like, wait, I don't need a license? They're like, no, you're fine. I was like, fishing's okay. And I was like, what? Because in Texas, you can't just do that. I have to pay like, $25 for this. Which just isn't that bad. It's like a really expensive salad.
I think that even in what we call crown land up here, I think you still need a permit. But the deal is that crown land is owned by the nation. It's owned by the government. Now, here's the thing. Crown land is always kind of in danger of being sold off for, not sold off, but handed over to resource extraction.
Mm.
See, state land up here, you can pretty much do what you want to do on.
Yeah, that's crown land is essentially the same. It's just if people aren't using it, it tends to sort of get
federal land. Like if you go to a federal reserve, or if you go to like a county park, or like if you go up to like the Cheyenne Forest or stuff like that, or they go up by Barron, up by Stye up there, that's all federal land.
Okay.
Then it's a little bit different. But one thing about Wisconsin is we have 30 days where we can actually sit. It's called squatter rights. So every 30 days you can sit somewhere.
That's
and then
awesome.
you have to move 100 feet from where the last place you were.
Wait a minute. That means that you could essentially live there and move every, how many days did you say?
Every 30 days, you have to move 100 feet from where you were.
Don't let the guys in Los Angeles find out about that. They're going to be moving to Wisconsin.
You got the other thing too is we got a lot of us redneck hillbillies up here that we don't like city slickers. So you go up into some of them woods up there, you're going to have some good old boys asking you what you're doing up here.
But like, here's a question, because I mean, obviously we have the same as you. We have like national parks, provincial parks, and you don't have them provinces down there. You've got states, but whatever. And then there's crown land, which is sort of, it's not really all that separate, but it's managed. But essentially, you can hunt there. You can.
Like, is that included, like the boreal forest, like the basically way up there where like the guys from the loan and stuff go?
Crown land is,
yeah.
It's the kind of land where if you get lost, you're
probably dead,
funked, shall we say?
Or you're free, however you want to look at it.
Or you're free, however you want to look at it. Dude, I live in Canada. We don't have that kind of whole discussion, right? But like some guys like Martin, who's not on here anymore, and I don't see him on the side chat. He's probably gone to bed. But my buddy Martin is very into maintaining, with crown land, what we call up here, it's government land. If people don't use it, it tends to disappear. Not disappear as in, but it tends to end up being used by resource extraction. But if a lot of people use it for camping or hunting or whatever, then they can't really sell off the rights. It's not a national park. It's not a provincial park. It's just land that's owned by the
government.
The government, and by definition, the taxpayer.
Right. Yeah.
Same as federal land.
Okay, that was my question. That was the question I was sort of building to, is that if it's the same as federal land. Okay.
The only difference, with some of the areas, and then you got crop land. So let's say if somebody has a private property, if they have their land under forest crop management, it opens it up to the public.
Okay.
In order to do that, because then they get less taxes on their land. So they open it up to forest crop management, which allows the public to go in there and use it as for the resources. So if it's hunting, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
On forest crop, you can't go in there and just start cutting stuff down and, you know, doing this and doing that. They kind of frown on that. But there's places up here where, like, I can take Tyler and you ain't going to see another person the whole 7 days that we're up there. You won't see nothing but trees and more trees and more trees.
That sounds bloody beautiful.
And then we take a 30-minute drive and you're in a town. So that's what's really cool is because the land's locked with each other.
Yeah, and the deal is the same here. Like you can have crown land that's completely surrounded by people's private property, or like there's a town here, or a whatever fishing camp there, or whatever, you know. Yeah. So if you get through the private land into the crown land, you're golden.
See, most places up here, if there's federal land somewhere in the middle and it's landlocked, there's an easement that you can walk down to get to that federal land.
And I don't know if there's an easement because I haven't looked into it that much.
Well, I looked into a lot of things because when you're camping and you want to go try something out and you see all these state lands and federal lands and stuff like that. My shit.
Oh, everybody stop. This is supposed to be an axe discussion, but I just want to take 1 second. Boom, baby.
It's long gone now.
Is that Damascus too?
No. This is 5160. It's just been a very special type of like acid etching.
Acid etched, yeah.
Yeah, this is the yet to be released Vakra 2 by Zombie Tools.
Zombie Tools, okay, I know them.
Yeah, it's honestly this is other than, have you guys heard of Dan Taupe from Dan Taupe Knives?
Yep.
D-Taupe Knives, yeah. His kukri design, which is very sad, he doesn't have a very cool name for it yet. This one and this one are probably the two best performing ones I've ever used. I know it looks clean, but it's because I know how to keep tools clean. So,
have you used a lot of those yet?
What do you mean, the kukris?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I own like 30 or 40 of them.
Really,
yeah.
40? Holy crap!
You don't even know like his whole.
No, see where people have furniture, I have shelving units and totes full of gear. Like you're seeing
all throughout the house.
I don't own furniture. I have a bed and I have a kitchen counter that is a wraparound. That's it. Everything else is like folding chairs from Costco, and the rest of it's all like gear. It's like my whole entire. It's like a storage unit that I technically sleep in. It's basically what it is.
I was in
my
total
favorite one right here.
Is that the what is that one? That is the
I've just subscribed to you, so I will spend the next week discovering it.
When I was in a service, we all had K-bars. So this is a K-bar dozer. And as you can see, that's where my ferrule rod goes across all the time. But this is my baby. I've actually stood this thing and I stabbed it in a tree, pounded it in, and I stood on it so I could reach up there and get into it.
See, everybody thinks I'm weird because like your knife right there, what I would do when I'm done with it, and everyone's like, you don't ever use your tools. I'm like, no, I take care of them. I usually just strip the coating, and like as soon as I'm done with a trip, I would actually just I have like a little plane and some sandpaper, and I would like, refinish that spine off again to keep it sharp, and then I just re-blue it with some gun blue, and then no one would ever know it's ever been used. People are like, your knives are too pretty, you don't use them. And I'm like, no, I just know how to, I just spend a whole Sunday just sharpening and maintaining and fixing all my stuff.
I could easily do that. I got bluing stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
oh yeah.
This thing
but there is something to be said about a very used, like a well-traveled looking knife too, because it has. I do keep a couple knives that I don't ever fix up on purpose. I keep them looking well-traveled on purpose because people love to see that.
I'm glad to hear that, and I'll tell you why. Because I like my stuff to look used.
Yeah.
I love it if it looks like be used. Like if I've got.
To be fair, I try to grab the Instagram feels. That's why I keep them pretty sometimes. So.
Okay. All right, but I like my stuff to be used. I like it to be abused. If I'm buying secondhand, I want it to look like the person before me has used it a bit. That might be because I've never blued anything.
Here goes one that I will because I like this.
The reason I love bluing is because like you said, even if it gets all effed up, you can just like take some sandpaper, go with the grain, kind of clean it up again, and then re-blue it, and then it looks brand new again once you put a new edge on it. No one would ever know.
I like my stuff to look effed up though.
This
Wow.
one here is
Is that
kinda-
the SOG? Is that the SOG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That thing's
Ooh.
honestly for like, what was that, $45, $50?
Yep.
Yeah, that is a monster for $45. Hell yeah.
I'll tell you something for free. That's a whole lot more expensive in Canada.
I'll tell you what. If you take this up to a Gerber knife, you can do. I can show you what happens when you cut wood around here with a Gerber knife, and you can see this one is it's been used. I do keep it clean.
Oh, here we go.
Well,
Get it.
we're pulling out toys, so I figured make it show and tell
Let's go.
time.
I've got a Gerber that I'm disappointed with, and I wasn't. It was the
I'll go get it. I'll go get my Gerber. I'll show you what they do.
You guys are in for a treat now.
Bye, guys.
He's only gonna-
This
He's
is
only
only
got-
one tote, Tyler. This is only the first tote.
I'm gonna show Drop Porch Survival because it looks like he's got a box of stuff. I've got an LMF too. That the
That honestly, for Gerber, that is an excellent freaking knife, dude. Excellent.
yeah,
knife.
that's what I heard. But the pommel's coming just a tiny bit loose. And
I mean,
it's
it is like $40, and it's for us, it's a Walmart knife. Yeah.
Ooh, are you kidding me? For me, that was $100 knife, man.
Well, see, it's a Walmart knife now because it's like 9 years old, though. To be fair, so it's not new in any standard.
All right, that makes sense then.
They should call it the They should need to come out with like the LMF4 because they need to redo that thing.
What the hell's the LMF? If that's the LMF2, what the hell's the LMF? Because I looked it up and I didn't see a damn thing.
So here's the K-bar buoy.
Okay, Barboy, hold on a sec. I'm gonna make you soloed. Boom, baby. No, that didn't work.
That is the BK9 or the No. That's the yeah. That's that
This
one.
is
That's
this is
the
buoy
one with the K-bar handle.
Yeah, this is the Bowie knife. This thing is when I go out and I'm going for a long time. But this is what happens when you take and you use Gerber's stuff. They sent me this to try out.
Cool. Everyone's got buoys all of a sudden.
There we go.
Well, I have like 7 of them that just stand on my dresser. To be fair,
Show that again. Ooh, look at
Look at
that.
that.
Who's that by?
this is the Bark River Crusader.
Bark frickin' River. Man, look at that. Look at that. That's how-
See, it looks brand new, but I've actually used the shit out of it. It's just I know how to. I went to their grind-in one time and I learned how to fix their stuff up.
So you can
So.
polish them up and look really nice. Here, if you look at the blade on here, look how crooked that thing is. This is actually Gerber's machete. And if you look at it right here, she's actually got a kink. I can't get it out unless I want to take the grind completely off. And I'm going like this on top of the blade. And this
Is
thing,
that like the,
Is that the 420?
I was gonna say, is that the Chinese mystery steel?
I don't know. They sent it to me to try out.
I was like, yeah, most Gerber knives are 420 J2 is the steel that they love to run because it's cheap, but it's pretty decent actually for the money. It's kind of like 8. It's like 8CR13 MOV for Schrade.
You know who we haven't heard from in a while?
If you're talking about BKs, though, I do like BK's knives from K-Bars. I got a couple of their little ones.
Yes, all
They're-
the Becker series are amazing for under $100. Under $100, they're probably
I
the
don't
best for the money.
I don't like the coating on there because every time you try to baton with it or something like that, it seems like the coating gets cut off and it doesn't want to flow decent. So yeah, you got to polish them out to make them work right.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is as soon as I get a BK knife is I actually just remove. Well, there's a new one. I got the Becker BK29. It was, I guess it's called the Moses.
Hold on a
I can't
second.
remember
Here's mine. What is it? It's the BK16.
Okay. Some of them have a slightly newer coating to them. They don't have that rougher
Yeah, this is
powder
good. Nice.
coat vibe to it.
Yeah.
If they have the rough powder coat vibe, there's a spray. I actually got the spray idea from Chris Tanner from Prepared My 101 like 4 years ago when he was doing his Jessica mods all the time. And I just spray his stuff down and like I just put it in a crappy saucepan from Walmart and I just spray them down and remove it and then I just gum glue everything because gum glue it's just so fast to redo it. But now if you want to where did the Rainmaker go?
I don't know. He's been drinking scotch all night. So.
I was gonna say, did he fall over?
Now, for under $20, this is probably the best machete I've ever used in my life.
What brand?
Cold steel machetes.
Okay.
Pretty much all their machetes, for the most part. I mean, some people, you can get a little mall ninja with some of their designs. They have like the Thai
I
machete,
thought you had that
the
shovel.
Gladiuses. Yeah, no, I had. So this is the new shovel from Cold Steel. I ordered it. They didn't send it to me. I had to buy it myself. This is the new. Well, there we go.
Oh, I like that.
Wow, that looks really nice.
So, and to be fair, I got it today. I just got it in the mail today. But the shovel head is more shovel shaped than the Special Forces, the smaller one that I've been using for it's more curved to be more shovelly. It's a little bit thicker. The head is about 50% bigger. That's what she said. And and then the handle is I think 6 or 7 inches longer, so it's more of an actual shovel.
And you still chop up everything with that as well?
Yeah, it still offers the same vibes. The only downside is there's no sheath for it yet. So this is the small one everyone's used to, and then this is, there we go.
And the small one is from the Special Forces, right?
Yeah, so this is the one that I've been using since 2011. I've been using this forever. So they came out with this, and I was like, oh, like a real shovel. So it was only like $29, so it's still kind of on par with kind of like a shovel you would buy from Lowe's. It's just a little more muchness to it.
I'm still using the old military shovel.
Nothing wrong with them.
I envy you guys your American pricing. I tell you, that's probably
to be fair though, for most American goods or American company goods, most of them are still made in Taiwan, if we're gonna be honest. But anyway, you guys also have to pay the import tax, and then your currency is 22 or 25% devalued compared to ours. So
yeah, I think the dollar's at 76 cents. Yeah.
So yeah, I love shopping with CanadianPreparedness.com because I can get silky sauce half the price of Amazon in the U.S.
Yeah,
I can get them way cheaper, and even paying for shipping, I'll just drop $200. I'll pick a day to actually go shopping for stuff and go on his website, get free shipping, and then I can get it with about the same time as I would on Amazon, but I saved the money and I got more stuff. So
that's legit.
So Tyler, which camera are you picking?
XA50. Don't be a pussy.
Let me solo you for a second so we can see what that is. Ooh, look at that. What is that?
This is the Overland Machete by LT Wright.
Damn. I bet you that cost a pretty penny.
It was $170.
That's not bad.
But I bought it off of Amazon. A lot of people think that companies send me stuff for free. I mean, they do, but every channel gets free stuff eventually. But I spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on stuff just because I don't want to wait on a company to go, well, we're not really doing a promotion. I'm like, nope, I want that tool. Give it to me. Check out 2-day shipping, and I just go ahead and do it because I'm a knife nut. So I mean, I have boxes of freaking crap everywhere.
You're a knife guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm an axe.
My channel name is that for a reason. So
fair point.
Hey, and you want to explain real quick what your channel name, the meaning behind it?
Yeah. So Tyler got me talking. We were doing that we call it marijuana talks or something like that, drug talks, because it's 3:00 in the morning when we're talking.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, we get really deep into stuff. But I finally divulged my channel meaning of my channel name. What kind of it's a 5-fold name. Anyway, I'll shut up and get to it. So Drop Forge goes into the whole process, certain type of process to make a knife.
Absolutely.
And then survival. Obviously, I love the outdoors. It started out more of a prepping survival channel, but now it's more of that plus kind of adventure camping, the fantasy side of things. Because we're not going to wilderness camp if there's a real grid down scenario. It'd be more Hurricane Katrina, realistically, if we're going to be honest about it. But anyway, I love.
Katrina was really a watershed event, right? Katrina was really where the preppers and the survivalists in that area suddenly learned whether or not what they did was right or not.
Yeah,
right?
I mean those poor guys would have to sit there in front of a rubble of a house. They can't even take insurance adjustments. They got to sit there with a shotgun, eating their Datrex bars, waiting to shoot somebody for no freaking reason because people are just looting people's houses. And I was like, I can't even imagine how many poor bastards had to shoot someone or had to be shot because of desperation. Just
Yeah.
because FEMA couldn't even get to him for like what 3 weeks or some crap. It was crazy.
And that's the deal, right? Nobody is a bad guy when there's desperation involved.
See, Tyler, now you know the reason why I live in the middle of nowhere.
I would
Yeah,
love to
man.
live in the middle of nowhere.
But anyway, to finish the point is obviously I like to design knives and I like to make them if I get a chance to, but I also love the outdoors, so that's where that name came from. But in the reality is there is no survivalist or adventurist or bushcrafter is ever born a badass. No one that you have to be made into one. You have to be forged into one. So that's where the other part of my name came from. I was like, oh, that kind of works, and it makes a really cool anagram when you put them all together.
Yeah.
But I decided because for me, there's people that will see my channel size and go, "Oh, you're such an expert. I love your stuff." I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm still learning. I'm like, I know 4 knots. There's guys that have 10 subscribers who could like tie me up in a circle with more bank line in 10 seconds that I could ever dream of, and they know more. They just aren't. They're not as. They haven't spent 6 years becoming a filmmaker or a storyteller.
It's the thing, you know, like 20 years ago, someone said to me that the best guitarist in the world is probably sitting on a porch in Louisiana somewhere, completely undiscovered.
Yeah, I was like, I guarantee there's someone faster than Usain Bolt. He just isn't interested in competition.
He just ain't running yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Hey, Tyler,
I
there's
agree.
real Rambos running around.
What's that?
I said, just think of it. There's real Rambos running around.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I was like, a lot of people, and that's where I like to try to remind my audience, because something that people don't understand about YouTube, even with y'all smaller channels too, 75 to 85% of your channel viewers per video, every single episode, are brand new people who've never heard of you before, the way the YouTube recommendations work, right? And I try to remind people every episode when I'm out in the adventure, I'm learning. I'm still trying to grow and get better. I know what I do know, and I try to share that, but I tell people, if you're going to be constructive and help be a part of the outdoor community, teach me some knots, send me a book, get me better, because all I want to do is learn. And
well, you're in the wrong state to learn edibles, but if you're up here, we could teach you a lot about edibles.
That's the funny thing is when I was I got to be in Missouri in the national forest there, and I was in absolute freaking heaven. You guys had pine trees. Those are the softest, most buttery pieces of wood I've ever messed with in my entire fucking life. Sorry, my entire life. I was sawing through them in like 4 seconds, and I was like, "This is an absolute dream."
Do you not have pines and stuff down there? Well, where are
technically? So I'm actually just south of San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas. Okay, I have.
Yeah. So yeah, Texas, if you look at it in a state, it's actually divided into 2 parts realistically. There's the west side of Texas, which is kind of mountainous desert. There's like very arid, very dry, very nothing. And then the other half, which is basically East Texas, is hog heaven essentially, which is there are pine trees and everything out there. But I live right smack dab in the middle where we have the best and the worst of both worlds. I get a little bit of arid, a little bit of the temperate kind of more wet climate, but I'm right in the middle. So if it's a drought season, it sucks. If it's plentiful, it's all muggy and there's mosquitoes everywhere. But we don't have most of our vegetation is all the mesquite beans, thorns. We do have pecan trees and stuff, but I don't want to cut pecan trees down because they produce pecans. Yeah, so I don't want to cut those down. Now, pine trees I'll cut down because they're like a virus of awesome, because you can cut down one pine tree, you can build a shelter, eat, have tea, brush your teeth. I mean, there's so many things you can do with one pine tree. It's just absolutely nuts.
Some of the best things in the wintertime is the pine tea. I love making pine tea in the wintertime. It's wicked cold, all your vitamin C that you intake from making that, and then you take the inner parts of the bark. You can make jerky out of that.
Wait, whoa. You can make jerky out of that?
Yeah.
What's it called? The
white membrane in between the actual tree.
The cambium layer.
Cambium layer, yep.
Oh. That's called inner bark.
I know that.
You
can make jerky out of that?
Yeah, you put it on the fire and you just let it sit there and it'll dry out, and you can chew on it.
Really?
You can kind of do that. You can kind of sort of do that ish with a sassafras fruit ish, but you want to strip it thin if you're going to do that. You don't want a big chunk of it.
The other thing is like birch trees. There's so many things with chaga. The birch has so many benefits to it that people don't even, besides being an awesome tinder starter, especially if you get like a silver birch or what we call it as paper birch.
Yeah, paper birch.
And you can instantly start fires. The oils in there are phenomenal. You can make a stove and actually bake the oils back down and get an actual fuel. There's so many good things about birch. It's unbelievable.
I just want to point out, when we were talking about knives, Jason McDaniel asked, have you tried the Ontario machete?
Which one? Oh, 1095 carbon steel, 17 inch.
Yes, that's the one.
Overall blade for $30.
Have you guys tried that?
Is he talking about the SP50 machete, like the fro looking one, or like the bigger, like the actual machete?
I am unclear on that.
I wish YouTube comments would let people do like an expandable thumbnail. They could get like a low res version of it and explode that when people were talking about references. That'd be super cool.
But something else I wanted to point out to you guys, to whoever's not great with knots, is the that link that I put excuse me, in the side chat.
HTML.
Yeah, that's to a book by Morris Kohansky, who by the way recently left us.
That guy is a monster. Like he's probably forgotten more than I'll ever know, ever. And I religiously, for the entire winter, from basically October to about May in South Texas, I spend at least a week per month in the outdoors and then go edit the video. It's just kind of like camping season for me, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
And that guy is like, he's the one who actually inspired Mikhail Makarov to invent his pocket emergency super shelter that he designed. I don't know if you guys ever saw that Kickstarter, the one that had the heat sheets and the plastic blanket. It's a triangle thing that's like this big when it folds down. He's the guy who got him to create that design, a mobile version of it. That's who's the guy he got the inspiration from. But yeah, even Joe Robinette, didn't he do a video like in honor of him in a way?
As a super shelter built.
I was like, didn't he do like it's? I don't know if it was officially designed to be a tribute video. It was just excellently timed, I would say.
I got a super shelter and a lean-to cabin. So
nice.
I was like, I wanna go out and go build one, but I don't live in an area where a super shelter is as big of a necessity, because it just, for me, that's like 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So what about -6, -7 degrees Celsius ish is roughly is that comparable roughly ish? About -7 degrees Celsius. It's about as cold as the coldest we'll ever get. It does not get colder. So,
wow.
So you got to think though, you guys come down, hang out with me in the summertime, you're going to melt because it's going to be 125, 127 degrees outside. So
I'm actually from Arizona, so I kind of know your area very well.
Yeah, you guys are like living
Arizona's a nightmare. I do not want to be in certain parts of Arizona. You'll die, like literally die.
Yeah.
Like if you're not chugging around like 4 gallons of water, you'll just crumble.
Yeah, and that's the deal. Like, I don't want to visit the surface of the sun. So if I was to come down and see either of you guys, it would be in like January. You know?
Yeah.
If you come and visit
in January in Arizona or Texas, woo! I've done it. Fuck it. I'm not doing it.
I don't live in Arizona now, but if you come visit me in January, it's going to be 50 below, and you're going to be miserable.
Yeah, not
Where
nice.
where are you at?
I'm in northern Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah. My buddy, I'm drawing a blank, so he's a great buddy of mine. Apparently, I'm such a bad person. But his company is Howling Wolf Knife Works, but he's out of Wisconsin too. He was on Forged in Fire. He's a teacher who was on Forged in Fire. I'm trying to give reference if anybody watches the show. He's a big freaking dude. Anywho, yeah, he's in Wisconsin, and he was trying to tell me, he's like, yeah, dude, he goes, you got to come up here. And I was like, I'm down. I'm like, if they'll let me kill a cow, I'll survive for 2 years off of that one thing. It'd be great.
I'm trying to get Tyler. I'm trying to get Tyler up here.
See, I texted you, Chris, I think the other day, talking about my buddy that has land up there for us. That's him right there, Mark, with Rolling Homestead Walled Edison.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool.
He's the one I was telling you about that has the land, and that we could pretty much go up there and just do about whatever. And I also have a buddy. I know Jess. You know him. Beasley Ironworks, Dave.
Yeah.
He told me at any given time if I want to come up there up in Canada. Where's he from? Like South Ontario or something like that.
You don't.
Where Dave lives.
You don't want to.
He's
go
got
there too. It's a pain in the butt because you got to go through all these rigmaroles just to get into it.
I don't know. I'll tell you something, dude. If Tyler comes north, that would be really cool.
I'm not even all that big.
Eat you in. That'd be.
My thing is, I want to finally give my viewers like a different scenario, like a different surroundings. Like I want to do a trip I want to do it in the snow, but the downside is I need to have access. Doesn't matter if I use tools or not. Or like you need to do fishing or ice fishing, like one of the two. And if I can do that, holy crap! Like it's the experience of learning it, because that's not something that I do normally. So I'd be a 5-year-old in in kindergarten learning how to do it, but it'd still be epic to just try and get my hands dirty doing something new.
You know, it's funny you say that because I'm allergic to a lot of fish, so I don't tend to do a lot of fishing. But like my wife and daughter have done ice fishing. Like I live in a province where ice fishing is done all the whole bloody winter. And if you can get north, if you can fly up here, I can find someone who will take you ice fishing, and I'll meet you and I'll buy you a coffee. Do you know what I'm saying? Because ice fishing is very different to normal fishing in that you're essentially just putting.
It's pretty boring because you're sitting there just waiting for them to show up. But as far as I can remember, as far as I know, fish are pretty desperate at that point too, to get food. So you throw food down there, it's pretty much a guarantee, as long as you sit there and you're patient enough.
Yeah, fishing for specific breeds that I don't know the English words for. Sorry, I live in Quebec. We speak French, but. Last year, my wife and daughter came home with like a whole bag of these, whatever they're called. And so long as the temperature gets cold enough, you can ice fish on most rivers in Quebec. Because we're a northern province with a lot of very northern territory. So even like in southern Quebec, it gets cold enough that you can sit there on the lake. You know, you're like fishing and you catch whatever the hell they're called in English.
Crappies, bluegills, walleye.
I'm like trout, salmon,
no
bass.
Bass.
What I know about trout is I'm allergic to them because I'm allergic to salmon.
Salmon, yeah.
That's like the best fatty fish in the world. That really sucks.
Right? I know. I'm allergic to all the really good ones. I can eat
like all the ones that would literally keep you alive single-handedly by themselves are the ones that would kill you. That really sucks.
Yes, I know. Thank you.
All right, so here I'm gonna show him, Tyler, some of the places that we go camping. So here we go. So this is the bushcraft camp right now.
Oh yeah, that seems awful. Like not a place anyone would want to go ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go there right the fuck now. Oof, I just said fuck twice.
Yeah, I got my family out there. That's when we're making dandelion coffee.
Wait, whoa, you're making dandelion coffee?
Yeah, that's the root
dude.
dandelion.
Because I like the thing about the dandelion is it's essentially 100% edible. Am I right?
Yes, it is.
Dandelions are that we here in Texas we have a mimic that looks almost identical that will make it throw up. Sadly.
So Tyler, here's actually I'm starting the bench for the actually staying there, but then you can put a hammock in here. Here's a stove, and this is a lean-to cabin.
I'm gonna pop.
Is that like the plastic sheet, the polyurethane sheet super shelter vibe?
Kind of, yeah. It's actually used to reflect the heat back.
Right. Yeah. Look at all that straight grain wood. Oh, what an asshole!
Wait, bring that back.
Like,
bring that photo back.
Nice. So nice. Do you see all that straight grain wood? That's ridiculous.
I saw that.
Where
bring the picture back. The picture where you showed your shelter, your super shelter.
This is just the cabin. This ain't the super shelter. There's the super shelter right there.
Okay.
See, that would be amazing to sleep in. You do that. You try to do that in Texas, you're going to be covered in thorns.
Thorns?
Yeah, everything is like people who've not been here, they don't understand. It's not
There's
that
actually
it's just pure ignorance. Everything has thorns, even non-thorny trees. Their branches for the first like 2 or 3 days while they're in growing season, they're the branches are coming new. They're thorny. They hurt. Like you'll come up and you'll just be covered all over your body. Like my legs get ripped up. I get 50 to 100 cuts on my legs and my arms within just a 7-day trek. And that's with being on trails that I've carved out. It's just going through the woods, hunting for rabbits and snakes and stuff. It's just, you're just going to get cut up. You have to just make peace with it. Like 100%.
here's
No,
that's a trout stream right by her.
See, can you explode his picture?
Yeah,
To make it bigger? Yeah, see that? There's like almost no undergrowth. There's just these big straight grain trees. Beautiful, dude. That's amazing. That's like cheating.
And that's right there in your camp.
That's right behind my camp.
I wanted to point you all to show some photos.
Copia is in March 13th and 15th. So I think when I'm out there, and how far are you from Madison?
About 3.5 hours.
So about another 3-hour drive. So it's like a 4.5-hour drive to get to Wisconsin, to Madison for me.
What is it?
Everyone
Everyone said.
him again because this is look at that.
That's
Look.
winter.
See, that's what I need to camp in right there. I need to camp in some snow. 100%.
And that pool in the back is 48 inches tall.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
What, 5 feet of snow?
Yep. We actually average between 60 to 75 inches of snow a year.
That's amazing.
Wait,
Like I know
60
what
to
snow.
75
I know what
inches,
snow
what
is.
are-
I've seen it and I've dealt with it. I've never been able to go camping in it like extended.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because I'm actually from like Indiana originally, but for anybody who doesn't know, I used to weigh 300 pounds. Used to be kind of big.
Wow. you
And
look great. Holy crap. Hold on. Let me solo you. That's what X 300 pounds looks like.
yeah, it's yeah. I weigh. I think I average like I float around 230, 235 right now. But yeah, I used to be 300 pounds, so I used to not like be on camera at all because no one wants to listen to anybody who. It's kind of like a personal trainer. They may be the best, give you the best advice ever, but they look like they're gonna have Doc Crook over from a heart attack. No one wants to listen to that person. So I had to go through kind of there's a perception because people on YouTube do judge a book by its cover. Whether you try to act like they're not going to, they will. So
Right.
I kind of, and I put myself very on. Once I got down to like 275, that's when I started putting myself out there more because I was starting to get more active and whatnot. But now I can carry a 50-pound rucksack and go, 7-8 miles and not freak out anymore. And it's pretty easy. But I wouldn't tell people to do that. Like you should go out there and figure out what tools and kind of, if you're not doing this for YouTube, go grab your car, grab a backpack, go hike in a mile and go have some fun and kind of be safe and go, have an escape plan if you got to go do it. Don't do anything stupid like I do. But
While you keep talking, I'm going to solo this because look at that.
yeah, that is just this is a disgusting area. You don't want to be anywhere near there. Yeah. Look at all that nature and just, who wants where's the Starbucks in his backyard? This is total bullshit. Like no one wants to be there.
Nature. Look at Starbucks.
That is so, dude. That's epic. That's really awesome. Most people he's one of the rare few. He's like one of 15% of America who have that kind of view in their entire country.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that as someone who is grown up Canadian, we assume that we're the ones who have all the snow. And right now I have like this much snow.
What's weird is I've actually found out that there's certain parts of the U.S. that get much colder than Canada, which is weird because the most southern tip, obviously, of Canada, for anybody who's can pass third grade geography, knows that Canada is all north of the U.S. for the most part. There's certain parts that are different, but yeah, there's certain parts of like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Idaho that just go crazy colder than everyone else because of the way the kind of the currents move through in the wintertime and stuff.
So one of the things that we got going on here, which you guys are going to see real quickly, is I did a extreme cold weather test, 14 below, with a 3-season equipment. So what we're going right now is that tent that you see underneath that tarp is actually I tried to stay in. And we're going to have a video coming up here with our Probably want to premiere it on the Bushcraft podcast, but and tell you what exactly happened. But it was pretty. It was fun at one point, but it got pretty scary at another point too.
Now I got a question for you. That's drone footage, right?
Yeah, that's my drone. I'm a
I'm like,
bad
that's-
driver. I'm just
I'm like,
learning.
that's one shaky cameraman if he's trying to hop on the roof. I was like, "Ooh." No, that's what drone is that? What drone are you using?
I'm using a Phantom.
Okay, I was like, that's the Phantom's the easy one to land in case you screw it up. It has
Yeah, but man, you got some money, man.
It's because it's got come home. It's got GPS. It follow me.
The one I want is the Skydio 2 because I can't fly a drone to save my life. I just want to push a button, let it turn on. Because I want like the Apple of drones. I just want it to turn it on and it work. I just want it to work.
If that's what you want, get the Maverick Pro.
Maverick Pro, yeah.
It will follow you. It will do everything that you want, but you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see the Skydio 2 is like $1,000 versus like 1,700 or whatnot from the Pro 2. So,
but yeah, right now, if you look at the pool in the corner there, there's already 4-foot drifts all the way around.
Now here's the thing,
yeah, my Woody Maxis would be getting one hell of a workout going through that crap.
Yeah, me too. And here's the thing, like as someone who doesn't live in inches or Fahrenheit, I kind of know what you're talking about, because if you say like 4 foot, I kind of know that I'm 5'7".
Like it was like 1.5 meters of snow.
Yeah, so I know what that is. I'm like, holy crap, dude. Because I'm in Montreal, so I'm supposed to be the snowiest guy in any conversation. And right now there's this much on the ground.
I'm a little guy at 6'5", 280.
Okay, first of all, no, you're not a little guy at 6'5".
I'm gonna have a milk crate when I stand next to this dude because I'm only 5'10".
And when we go camping, I've actually taken MMA fighters and trainers and cross country skiers, and I had to pull a plug at about 5 o'clock because they already went through their water. They're sweating, they can't get warm, and we're snowshoeing uphill in 60, 70 inches of snow, and they've got 80-pound rucksacks. And I told them not go over 40. So when I tell, like I was trying to tell Tyler the other day, and this is the reason why I made this, is because people don't realize how extreme this really is.
That's like, I mean, granted, for YouTube videos and adventure camping, spending time with your family, you're always gonna have an exit strategy. There's a way out. But if you had to do that for real and you went out by yourself solo and you went out 2 or 3 miles, you could be playing for keeps if you're not careful. 100%.
Wouldn't you still have an exit strategy though?
Well,
you would hope so, but let's say if you got like 2 or 3 miles out, like you decided to hike in like a weirdo, those 2 or 3 miles could be deadly if you get to a point where, let's say you can't get warm for whatever reason, you have a problem starting the fire, something goes wrong, you're 3 miles in, you're cold enough. I'm sure Rolling can go with it. He would know better. But what is it? You burn, what is it? The 400 to 500 calories shivering per hour. And you in 4 hours, you can go through an entire day's worth of calories, and you could be risking killing yourself in about a half a night. So trying to hike that back.
That many calories?
Oh yeah, you see the wife's is that you're going to actually shivering. People say you're going to die when you go into hypothermia. You won't, because your body wakes yourself up. So this video that I'm going to be putting out here pretty soon, it shows me going into pre-hypothermia. I wake up at midnight shivering. The camera is shaking. I can't put my boots on. I have extreme headaches. My mind can't decipher between right and left to put my boots on, and I'm only 100 yards away from my house.
But that's bad news, dude.
It is, but what it is that I'm also certified water and cold weather rescue. So I know when my body woke me up, I knew that I had to get in. And the thing is that we see on YouTube, especially with what we do, is there's tons of people out there as children thinking, hey, I got some of that, I can go out doing this. And that's the biggest thing, is I don't want somebody to go and try to do extreme camping and think that they can do that with a 3-season tent. Because if I would have grabbed my Mylar bag or my sleep system, my military sleep system, and put my stuff in there, I'd have no problem. I could go lay out in the middle of a snowbank somewhere and cover up with my stuff, and I would never have a problem. But if I get a normal tent, normal sleeping bag. I had a wool blanket, and I had a mylar blanket. That was all I had. That gear will not cut it up here.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to show people. But I thought I was going to be able to handle it a little bit better. But when it hit 14 below at night, it was just like I knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And because of my training, I knew I was in trouble. I had a nice warm fireplace. I'm only 100 yards away from the house. No problem, right?
Yeah,
Like-
wow.
Well, I think that there's an issue though, right? Like 100 meters or 100 yards or whatever can be an issue if you're like.
Well, you got to think. Let's say he wasn't certified and didn't know what to do, even being 100 yards away. Let's say he got to a point where he took too long to actually get himself back. He could just fall in the snow and pass out. He could be dead by morning, and no one would know about it until like 12 o'clock on the next day, so they couldn't find him.
We're kind of thinking the same way.
I had mom was on backup, and if she was still up at midnight when I came walking in the door, she saw me shaking. She knew what was going on. All right, but the biggest thing what I want to say is that if you look at extreme camping, you have to know your area, you have to know your surroundings, you have to know what your climate you're going into. Because if I'm going up by Chris up there in Texas, right now, because my blood's thicker, I will sweat like a mule, I'll overheat, and I'll get into heat exhaustion like now. Because I'm used to this cold weather.
Yeah, I was like, if he come hang out with me, even in May when it's not too hot, it's still going to be 85 to 95 degrees. It's still going to be, for most people, that's considered extremely hot, but we get way, way, way hotter. Yeah, if you're not properly acclimated to it, like if I go straight up to the north, I want to do it to learn and practice, get better, gain more skills, and kind of run through a practice scenario kind of for a week and see what I can do. But there's no guarantee that I'm not going to hit the tap bell in one day, because I don't know if I'd be acclimated to it. Even if I came down and because our winter here is not the same winter up there.
See, what I was telling Tyler to do is have you stop by Tyler, spend a week up in Tyler to get used to some of the colder environments, get your body used to that. And then when you get used to that area, then you can come up here, and then we'll push you to your max. Because up here, like I said, I've put people that were just physically better than me, mentally, they were trainers, and they can't hack it up here because they're not physically prepared to what they're going to get into.
Yeah. I was like, my big worry is actually not staying warm. I'm pretty sure that I can buy everything that I would need to keep myself physically warm and comfortable and set up a shelter that would work. But I'm worried about hydration, calories, water filters freezing on me and exploding in the middle of the night. There's certain things that I don't have to deal with down here at all. I don't have to deal with it. It's not even an issue. Freezing is the weird thing. Like anything freezing is weird.
This was set up as this is a cold tent, nothing. There's no heat. There was no fire. There was no nothing. It was cold tent totally. Okay, like if we go to the bushcraft and we go to my camp, you got the fire, you got the long fire, you got the cabin, you got the furnace. You have everything there to keep yourself warm, so you can take that out of the equation. Food is another big issue because up here, all of our animals, because of the weather that we have, hibernate. So you're eating chickadees.
Yeah, there was that was something we noticed in my last 7-day, which hopefully I can get that edited to share with people. For us, keep in mind, South Texas cold, not the rest of the world cold. When we were walking around in 40 to 35 degree Fahrenheit, so I'll say like 4 degrees Celsius. Like 4 degrees Celsius, I would say about fair, like anywhere between 4 to 2 degrees Celsius. I could be out there for a good hour or two, not a big deal. It's slightly above freezing, and I had alpaca and stuff on. I had some pretty good warm weather gear on. But going out there was almost no creatures out there because they were all bedding down and hiding and hibernating. All the rabbits, raccoons, possum, they were disappeared. They were gone. But then on night 3 or 4, it finally jumped up to like 45, almost 50 degrees, which doesn't seem like a big difference, but for them it's a huge difference, and they could handle it. And all of a sudden, the whole forest was alive, and we ended up knocking down like 3 creatures in one day. So, yeah, I mean, I can only imagine the nightmare and the challenge, which is what I want to experience, but I want to do it in a
Well, the first time I would say
Yeah.
what you guys need to do is like Tyler said, is have a backup for with food.
Oh,
A lot of guys, what I do here is like I take people out for a weekend, and we'll go out in like the lowest I'll take them out is 10 degrees, and they have to actually make a shelter, and we'll make a fire. We'll cut wood and all the other stuff. But at the point is that the last crew I took in, they ran out of water. They were actually taking snow, filling up a pot. So you got 1 foot of snow makes only an inch of water. You figure that out. It's constantly just going like that. They were sweating because they weren't actually shedding clothes. They were everything that I told them they didn't listen to.
Yeah.
And
I was like, if
pull a plug, I'm like, we're out of here because you guys are going to be dead by morning.
I was like, if I'm not mistaken, because I was talking to this company, Appalachian Gear. They make alpaca cold weather gear, and they said that multiple layers is actually good, but you don't want to have tight fitting clothing. You want it to be kind of comfortable and loose, so there's a little bit of air that flows through, so you're not sweating. The layers actually get a pocket of air that can heat up and keep your body warmer. And they said you can actually get away with only like maybe 2 or 3 really solid layers and be actually better off than having 4 or 5 tight layers, because you actually end up colder, essentially, from what they were saying.
One of the biggest things up here that you got to get away from is that if you're starting to sweat, you have to be able to strip down, grab some snow, get that sweat off you, and put your clothes back on. The sweat will kill you here, because not only does it soak in your clothes, and later on, that stuff doesn't dry out unless you take it off. It's going to always be wet. It's always going to be there. Condensation. One of the biggest things, like Ma said before I left to go outside, she says, don't you want to take a shower? I should have listened, because I was out there putting the tent up. I was shoveling the hole. I came in. I was soaking wet. I was sweating because I had a lot of gear on to keep warm. And the sweat holds that all in there. And if you got that on your body, it actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things too, is you got to understand that taking clothes off, with you, when it's hot, you can only take so much off. But when it's cold, we have a little bit different. We can actually, I've been outside already working in a t-shirt, and it's 20-some degrees up. So that's the difference. But
Right.
I am going to pull Tyler up here before probably around the new year, just to give him a little blast of reality of what it's like to be up here in the deep stuff, because he's used to this little tiny snow that's about this big, and he's like, look, we got snow, and I'm like, that ain't snow, that's the dusting.
Yeah,
All right,
I was
It's 1:45 right now, my time. So I'm going to close this down so that I can be up in time to deal with a baby.
Aww.
So thanks for everyone who hung out with us, and I will see you guys next week. I'm thinking next week of doing it on a Monday instead of a Tuesday, because Christmas Eve.
That's when we got our podcast.
That's a big, huge freaking head. Is that like a log cabin building head? Like one of those, like the ones that build like the slices into the logs to like.
Hell yes. This is a hewing head, which will eventually be attached to a dog-like handle, right? Because for hewing, you need it's an offset.
Okay.
And I cannot wait to have this baby in action. But for tonight, this is our bell. Thanks to everyone who hung out with us, and I'll see you hopefully next Monday.
Sounds good, man.
Drop Forge, it was really nice to meet you. You've got a lot of really cool stuff to say. Rolling Homestead, I knew you had cool stuff to say. Tyler, I know you. We got all kinds of stuff to say to each other. Excuse me. Obviously, as you guys can hear, I'm pretty tired. But I'll see you guys next week. And I'm sorry to be shutting this down, because this is very, 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 very.
I'm just thankful you guys stuck around to let me be in the chat for a little bit. So.
Kidding, Drop Forge, man. I didn't even know you before, but now I'm gonna sub to you and everything.
Tyler, hit me up on if you want to. We can keep this going. Hit me up on Facebook and call Chris up, and we'll keep chatting.
I wish I could be awake for that. All right. See you guys later.
All right,
Alrighty.
talk to you later, man.
All right, we're in Jess's show.
He forgot to shut his show down.
He did.
Chris jumped off. He jumped off. It's just me and you.
All
So,
right.
We can sit here and we can run this now, Tyler. How do you want to?
So, welcome to Raindance Bushcraft. Or no, we gotta do it like him. Hello, friendlies. How's it going, everyone?
We can't pull anybody up on a panel, though. All right, man. Hit me up on Facebook, and if Chris wants to jump in and talk some more, we can.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
All right. Everyone that's been watching, like this, comment, share it out, all that good stuff. That's probably in there. Hello?